Welcome back to the Comics Aficionados live on Thinking Critical YouTube. I hope everyone's having a nice weekend. Sounds like it's a bit chilly over there in the United States. It's actually pretty warm here in the Philippines, but we had a little bit of news concerning the DCU. Finally, James Gunn made his plans, and there's just been a tiny bit of fallout about that. We've got a wonderful panel. We've got DCU insiders. We got lifelong DCU fans. We got Josh McDonald dropping nuggets of information on casting all over Twitter and stuff. And then we've also got Doc. I don't know why he's here, but he's always here. So yeah, should be a good show. Returning is Dylan from the Real Comic Book Gamer. How you doing, Dylan?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to talk about all this stuff. Thanks for having me back.
How excited were you for this DCU news? Were you hyped?
Some of it is hype, some of it not. It's definitely a mixed bag.
No, before he released it.
Oh,
did you
before?
think there were? Or were you being like cautiously optimistic?
Yeah, I was more cautiously optimistic about it. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to plan out.
Very nice. Do you have anything over on your channel talking about all this stuff?
Yeah, I did a video talking about all of it I put out a couple days ago.
Were you playing Arkham Asylum? Something like that?
No, it's just my face on that one.
Oh, normally you play the video games, keep people entertained.
Yeah.
Very nice. So definitely check that out for all of Dylan's points, but you're definitely going to get a lot of those here as well. We've also got the DCU insider, Sil Abdullah. How you doing, Sil?
I'm doing all right, man. A lot of DCU news.
Were you busy this week?
Man, I'm pretty much, I have content probably for that'll last me through this month, breaking down everything and what
That's
we're
a
hearing.
good problem to have. Because I can tell you, as someone that covers comic book news, it's hard to find stuff right now. There's nothing happening.
Well, James Gunn's throwing you a little layup, you know, he's like, hey, a couple
I
reference
can only
comics.
cover the DCU so much on my comic book channel before it's like, people come in for comic book stuff and nothing's happening. But we will talk about the DCU because it was very exciting stuff and very interesting. Obviously, I already made a couple of videos on it, and Doc and I have another video talking about all the rising prices that are going to be out tomorrow. You got anything special people should be checking out, Sil Abdullah? Did you break any news over the last few days?
Well, we got a little info about the Brave and the Bold Batman film. Just a few little details with that. I'm sure you'll probably touch on the DCU later. But you know, Bat Family stuff. It should excite Bat Family fans. I'll just say that.
We'll see about that. Also with us is DC Comics Aficionado himself, Josh McDonald. I thought you were going to skip out this week. What happened?
You thought I was going to skip out this week?
Hey, you're going to like claim like fatigue or something. I can't make it, guys. You can do that.
No, listen, I'm only skipping out if I'm having to go into work. And usually when I'm doing that, I'm cussing like a sailor and, you know, breaking shit. But no, I don't have to work till later. So I'm here.
Very nice. It feels like you're becoming like are you the casting guy on Twitter now?
Maybe.
Are you
possibly
the more handsome Grace Randolph?
Is Grace Randolph handsome?
She's got a man face a little bit.
She's got a man face a little bit. Maybe, possibly. So, people like to talk. I like to listen.
Well, I do appreciate it. We might have to talk about that here in the near future here on the channel.
Hey, what's up with this layout? What's up with this layout?
What's wrong with
you know
the
when
layout?
you go into like segregated restaurants and they've got like the people of color, the diversity on one side and everyone else on the other?
I have like OCD, and the fact that there's two people not on screen, I don't want them like next to each.
Sil, we're gonna put you over there, man. Oh, hey, there's the gay guy. Throw him over there too.
Is this better?
Put them in the same.
Are you happy now?
I'm just joking. I gotta give you shit at some point.
You can be the meat and the Sammy. There you go, buddy.
Everyone likes it.
That's all he was going for the whole time.
That's right. Moving on up, bitches.
I'm confused as who I've talked to, but I think, Jim, you're next. What are you doing over there at Weird Sites, Jim?
Just the same old stuff. Just comic book stuff. And like you said, it's tough right now. There's not a lot of comic book news. Just comics coming out. Some of them not so great, but dealing with that mostly.
Did you almost die this week?
That's just normal. That's a normal occurrence. I ended up hurting my neck, but we won't go into that. My wife had me doing crazy stuff around the house. I fell off a ladder.
Oh,
so, yes, I did
okay.
almost die. So there you go. It happens all the time, so it's not even anything that bothers me anymore.
I thought you were going to say you pulled a neck muscle like taking a dump or something.
Well, that too, but I didn't want to say it. That happened. Now that happens every day.
I went to Del
so-
Taco, and there was nothing I
Yeah,
could do
really.
about this neck.
Yeah,
You know, like,
really, it's my neck that ended up having the problems there. But now, just same old, same old.
And you are an enormous DC fan, right?
Yes.
So you make sense being on this panel, but Doc, you just like the Authority. What the hell are you doing here?
There's a little bit of Marvel topics to
There
talk
is a little
about
bit of
today.
it. And I guess you're the channel mascot?
And I am the channel mascot, yes.
That's right.
So I'm here just to be the guy that everybody fucking hates, to make you look so much nicer by comparison.
Dude, I'm super hella nice. What are you talking about? I don't need you for that. The only person that makes me seem not nice is Eric. And that's because he's overly optimistic. Even when he criticizes something, he's nice about it. I don't get it.
He also
But
has
let's
that,
talk
soft,
about
gentle
What's up?
voice. I said he also has that soft, gentle voice.
until
Yes,
it's
he
going
does.
full boss. And let's talk about this James Gunn DCU slate debate. Dylan, you are an enormous DC fan. You've been through the bad years of the DCEU. We finally have a play-in. We do have Batman, we do have Superman, but there were some curious choices. What was your initial impression? Do you think this was the way to go?
Some of it. The whole everything being connected, I'm not the biggest fan of. We know that doesn't really work. Other things try, like Star Wars tried it when Disney took over. They're like, hey, everything's gonna be interconnected, everything's canon, and that lasted for all of 2 seconds. Anytime there's a creative choice they don't like that was made in like a book or a comic, the movies or TV shows just immediately ignore it. Like, it happens all the time. So I don't understand why they're trying to do that. That part I'm not the biggest fan of, especially with video games connecting it all together. I don't think it's a smart choice. I like the more comics forward approach of him like actively discussing them on Twitter and stuff. That's cool. As we can see, it's like been selling out on Amazon and stuff. It's really interesting to see the approach they're taking. I like that we're getting more animated stuff though, because that's something that Marvel has dropped the ball with. Like, Marvel hasn't really done any animated stuff that's been good in a long time. So them actually putting focus on it, being like, hey, this is important to our universe, is cool. But also having live action actors play animated characters could be interesting. The Superman movie starting everything out should be cool. Also, I'm happy that at least Superman's going to be like the focus. James Gunn changed his Twitter banner to Superman, and he seems very invested in the future of Superman. I hope he doesn't direct it, but I feel like he's going to. So.
Are you getting New 52 vibes out of this? Because that's what I'm getting. We're going to get a young Superman in Superman Legacy, and then when the Batman movie comes out, he's already on Damian Wayne. It's like, how the hell would that have happened?
It does feel kind of like New 52 in that way. Man, I don't know. Also, another thing is, like, with all the comics they're talking about that it's inspiring everything, I kind of hate that he said All-Star Superman. I love All-Star Superman. It's a great comic, but it is the safest, most generic comic you could name when you're talking about what's going to inspire your Superman. Like, it's among, like, the Superman discourse, it is, like, the one comic that is always named, and it feels like a lot of people don't know there are other Superman comics that exist. And then James Gunn
said, like, The Dark Knight Returns. You're like, yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, so saying All-Star Superman's like, okay. Like, but that, I mean, I guess character-wise you could do that, but plot-wise none of that makes sense for, like, a first Superman movie.
I don't think it'll be plot-wise. I think it'll just be inspiring who the character is.
Yeah, it's just going to be, like, the vibe of the movie. That's what he's saying in his tweet.
I have a real simple question. With how much this is just all basically the Grant Morrison verse, why isn't Grant Morrison actually hired to work on it?
Someone tweeted at him.
Yeah.
Someone tweeted at him asking that, and James Gunn's response was just like, I'm friends with Grant. We talk all the time. And that was like it.
No one talks to Grant.
That's
but he
what
has
they
no
said.
job.
Yep.
Visor, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, sure.
So, Josh,
he's going to do it with no pay.
you are
Yeah.
the DC aficionado. You've been talking about the hirings and all this stuff. Apparently, they're not even casting Superman yet, although there's a rumor out there. James Gunn dispelled that one. You seemed a bit more optimistic about the initial layout. You like the Swamp Thing, Authority. Sounds like you're into Brave and the Bold.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I'm trying to be a little optimistic because I think enough people are going to be negative towards it that a little optimism won't hurt anyone. I will start off by saying I still think it's a mistake he's not doing a complete reboot. I think that's going to haunt him until they do another reboot. But no, I think that if there's one thing we can look at, James Gunn has a tendency to deliver projects that resonate with audiences, typically. So I think.
I don't know. If I was to describe Peacemaker, I wouldn't say it resonated with me.
But you like
Same thing with
Suicide
the
Squad.
Suicide. It didn't resonate with me. I'm like, oh man,
You liked it though.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I was about
the
to say,
Polka Dot Man
I will
was
pull up
actually
that
decent.
stream.
I
Because
did,
we were like
did
the
like
only,
it, but it's not
yeah.
like Captain America's Civil War
Well,
or even the
no.
first Guardians of the Galaxy, which
But
I like
you
Star
can
Wars
enjoy
movies.
something and it still resonates with you. If you enjoy it, it resonates with you in some way. So
No,
I think
I think you're overselling it, man. It's just like I liked it, but I didn't. It wasn't something that moved me. I was like, man, this guy
Resonated
I
really
didn't
gets
say
it.
it moved you. I said it resonated with you in some way. If you find it hilarious, you're like, that resonated with my humor.
You're gonna
Resonate
resonate.
Ready to
with you.
Rumble. Ready to Rumble is a humorous movie, in my opinion, but it didn't resonate with me. I'm not putting my reputation on that film.
That
I know it
resonated
sucked.
with me. I loved it.
Absolutely. When they're eating the sandwiches and the
Oh, it's
poop
the
is
best.
it's so gross.
Anyway, I think we've seen that James Gunn can deliver. I think a lot of people worried about his humor. I think we've seen he can deliver some emotional moments too. I always look at Groot and what he did with Groot. So I think there's some optimism here. I think he cares enough about the comics that he's going to try to stay true to the comics to a degree. Because some people are probably going to point out like, oh, what about Peacemaker? What about Suicide Squad? He diverted. Yes, he did. But I think he's also in a different situation now than he was then. So we'll see. Like I'm glad that he's doing some kind of like out of left field choices because it kind of differentiates what we've had before. But ultimately, we're going to have to see once we get like plot synopsis. That could change my mind. Depending on who's working behind the scenes, that could change my mind. Casting could change my mind. So
You know what? Also, they didn't really learn from the MCU. They never really had like a full plan until they decided they were doing an Avengers movie. So when the Hulk failed after Iron Man, they just kind of ignored it and moved on to the characters that ended up working in Thor and Captain America. And it feels like because it's been announced now, like James Gunn, like if the Authority does not work, and that's the second movie, and there's a good chance that it won't because people aren't going to know who they are. Like he's stuck with it.
I mean, he can still ignore it.
yeah,
right?
I mean, you could also say like Iron Man 2 failed. Like let's be honest.
Iron Man 2 made a lot of money.
It didn't live up.
It didn't
fell to my
resonate with
heart.
Everyone.
It didn't resonate with me.
Hell, my
It did
heart.
not resonate with me.
And
You got a
also-
good
Because it
point.
was a 2-hour trailer for Avengers.
Wasn't like the Universal rights a big reason why they're like, we're not going to do any Hulk sequels as well?
Well, no, you have to go like this Marvel Studios didn't have the rights to do Hulk as a film, so they were going to have to like split profits. That's one of your main reasons you didn't get another Hulk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's what I'm saying,
so.
it's the distribution. The distribution's tied up with Universal. That's why you'll never see another Hulk movie, a solo Hulk movie.
Yeah.
All right, move it on. We've already covered that. All right, so you said you got some breaking news for us. What's the big news that you were going to talk about?
Well, yeah. Well, overall, with the slate, just to touch on a few points where it doesn't feel like it's all connected. It's kind of like a bunch of projects, and I think they're still figuring it out as they go. I really believe that's the plan is to kind of cover as many bases as possible. Whatever works, then okay, we'll pick that path, right? So. A few standouts. This is already out there. The whole James Mangold may do Swamp Thing. I'm actually excited for that. That could be its own thing, really. I know a lot of people was talking about Tom King and the Supergirl. I don't want to make Wes mad talking about that one. And then the Authority, that could be an interesting thing because that can actually tie to Superman, right? So, but the Brave and the Bold,
Poorly.
I think kind of stood out a litit bit. First, the title is kind of terrible because I don't think that's going to be the title, when the film comes out. But it's pretty clear. It's a Damian story, so that's one thing. It's going to be a new Batman. It's like, okay, whatever. It's going to be a Bat family film, basically. And so the more I'm finding out about it, a key role that they're trying to cast is the Dick Grayson, Nightwing character, which is a given. If you're doing Bat family, you got to do Dick Grayson, right? But I was told they want to cast the entire Bat family. Now, what does that mean? Like, I made a video talking about that. Like, how far are we going with this? Like, are we going to do
That's
Duke
what I
or
said. I was like, are we doing
Batwing
all the
or-
Robins, the Batgirls? Are we doing
Spoiler.
Lucius Fox and the fucking therapist?
So
Where are
that's
we
the
stopping here?
implication. Leslie Tompkins got to be there. Like everyone has to be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Why are we hating on Leslie Tompkins? Come on now.
no. I'm just saying, let's bring it all.
Yeah.
Bring it all in there, right? And you know,
We're gonna
Tom
have
King's
the
going to
Jace
push
Fox and
Catwoman.
Luke Fox. We gotta have.
Well,
You're gonna
yeah,
have
we
the
got to cut it
sequel?
off at some point, right? We got to
Yeah,
cut
we've
it off
got
before we get. But expect a full Bat family either appearances, a new Batgirl. So you know Leslie Grace is not coming back. So that's what we're expecting with this film. So you know,
This
hopefully
is
more
my thing,
details
though,
come.
Sil. It's going to be a Batman and Robin movie featuring Damian Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people out there that are probably champing at the bit for a Dick Grayson first appearance in a movie or a Jason Todd. What if they're only there for a couple of scenes and they don't really talk or anything, but
That's
they
what
got
I'm
the Bat family? People are going to be furious.
That's what
There are
I'm
more
thinking.
Jason
So,
Todd and Dick Grayson fans than there are Damian Wayne fans.
I will say I've heard more about Dick Grayson, so I think they're going to really push. You know, and we're talking about Nightwing, so that I'm happy about that. Maybe people
They should
be
have
pissed
done
that
a
he'll never be
Titans
Robin.
movie instead of this stupid Supergirl movie.
They really should do a Titans, but yeah, Supergirl. I don't know where that came from,
It's
right?
so
Like
dumb.
that's like
Who wants an alcoholic, like swearing Supergirl besides Tom King and
Yep.
well, apparently James Gunn?
It's
well,
Hey,
Tom King is on the committee, so
Hey,
Yeah,
he
maybe.
wants it.
Go ahead, Doc.
it's the 1980s again. We're getting two good Superman movies, then an atrocious fucking Supergirl movie.
Yeah, but that movie
Maybe.
treated Supergirl the way that she deserved to be treated.
Yes, I
Not
know.
seriously. They knew the character was a joke when they made that movie.
I understand that. I'm just telling you, they're just time traveling back 40 years.
Wes,
I'm a little
maybe
nervous about the. I'm sorry. I'm a little nervous about the Lanterns being a series. Like I
Yeah.
think that's missed opportunity.
The Authority should be the series.
Yeah, that should be a series.
They should flip flop that.
We got
yeah.
some mixed up stuff here.
The Authority should be animated. Also, it should never be in the DCU because
It shouldn't.
it shouldn't. It just
Unless
it ab-
these guys are the big bad guys to end Gods and Monsters, and they're the team that Superman and the Justice League have to defeat, they can't even be like gray area good guys kind of in the middle because if Superman is alive and well in your universe, he has to stop the Authority as soon as he gets wind of it. What are they going to whisper the whole time they're planning on taking over shit and killing people?
Well, what
Yeah.
about the Grant Morrison Superman and the Authority?
It was fucking
no.
terrible.
Oh,
and
it's so bad.
terrible.
Yeah, that's what they're
You
gonna.
know,
It's
I'm going
terrible.
to mention a lot of series
Hold
that's
on,
going to piss
hold on.
people off today.
Hold on. It's
That made
terrible
no
and
sense.
it's terrible and it's not the Authority. The only two characters from the Authority in that entire series are
Midnighter and Apollo.
the Midnighter and Apollo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
Omar
probably all you need.
Omac isn't a member of the
in that
Authority. The
whatever,
engineer
Black.
didn't even exist.
Manchester Black, yeah.
Manchester Black is from the Elite. The
Mhm.
which is just a knockoff DCU version of the Authority created by Joe Casey when he was on Action Comics.
So how did that turn out? That crossover?
It
I
was
didn't finish reading that one.
atrocious.
It
Horrible.
sucks
Terrible.
Yeah,
until it becomes part of Action Comics and Phil
Yeah.
Kennedy Johnson salvages it.
agreed.
Here,
Um,
I'll tell you this one thing. Every time Grant Morrison touches the Authority, it's terrible.
Yeah, I did not. I especially hated how he depicted Midnighter and Apollo, especially in that crossover.
They weren't even having gay sex.
Well, but they were like bickering about, "Are you cheating on me?" And I was like, "This is not.
No.
This is not these two." So, Wes, kind of two comments on points you've made. One, it is my understanding that yes, that is what it's leading to is going to be Superman versus the Authority, but a la a Superman versus the Elite type storyline. So,
Not bad.
No.
yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, if they're going to set him up as a bad guy, sure, let's go for it.
All they're gonna-
Also,
If they're
the
going to set him
whole
up
like
as the bad guy and you want to feature him in a film, okay, go for it. Good luck. With
look, I'm just excited we're getting Midnighter and Apollo in live action. If they do it
Midnighter's a
right.
badass.
Midnighter is a badass. It's time that he gets on screen.
Yeah.
that. He's
Um,
just Batman, though.
The one
He's
thing.
more than that,
so much
Wes.
better.
He's just Batman. Look at his.
No, he's better than
costume.
Batman. Sorry.
He has a fight
Better than
computer
Yeah.
in his
Better than
brain and
Batman.
carbon fiber muscles.
Batman is
Right,
a
he-
god.
And
He
can, like,
also is
sustain
super.
pain.
He has
He
super
can-
speed. He's
yeah.
basically the Flash. He's Red Death.
I pitched
His
a
stealth
comic.
abilities.
I pitched a comics story to DC Comics back in like 2016, 2015, somewhere in there, and it was Batman and the Outsiders, and it had Midnighter on there. But there was a whole point in the comic, like 3/4 of the way through, where they came to blows, and Midnighter beats the shit out of Batman, and then they break off.
That's
into
why
different
your
sets.
pitch got denied.
No,
My
my pitch got denied because Scott Snyder thought I was negative.
I thought it was because you said they came to blows. Is what I thought.
Well, you know,
And
the
the Midnighter is a sadist too.
Sil mentioned the Lanterns. I'm with them. I think it's a terrible idea to do it as a series. It's not going to have a big enough budget. We're not going to get what we want out of Green Lanterns. But they also keep saying that the Lanterns are going to play a huge role in the overarching films. And all I keep thinking is that they're going to introduce the colored rings and they're going to stick with that new 52 theme. And Supergirl's going to become a Red Lantern because she's already angry.
Yeah,
that really needs to happen, actually. If they
they really should just skip Supergirl and put in the real heroes that are important to the DC universe, and then do Supergirl in Phase 3 when they run out of
like Wonder
ideas.
Woman, Wes. Maybe they should have did Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman might have been a little bit more important than Supergirl.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that all of this almost feels like it's a phase 2.5, phase 3 already, and that's kind of what worries me. And a lot of people are pointing to the idea that James Gunn, he did Guardians of the Galaxy, but that was so far down the line, and they already established their universe so that you could take some chances. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it was great. I loved it. But when they ended up putting it out, you already had that. You liked the movies, you liked the universe, and people would go see just about anything at that point when Marvel was putting it out. And I don't know about starting it out like this. Especially the Authority, nobody knows. But then people keep saying nobody knew the Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's a different situation.
Also, the Authority, if you actually look at them, are essentially a bizarro version of the Justice League.
Yes.
Yeah.
James Gunn's excited about it, so that's
exactly.
That's why it should be an HBO Max series and get 5 seasons or something.
Really
because then you could develop the characters and get people to know the characters, then introduce them in the movie universe.
Cross them over.
Although I don't know if you're going to be able to do the one run where Jack Kirby creates.
They say they're doing the Warren Ellis run.
Yeah, I understand that, but the part they're probably going to also adapt some from the Mark Miller run, and I don't know if you'll be able to do the part where Jack Kirby creates an army of Avengers and the the Authority has to kill the Avengers.
I don't think that'll happen, Tom.
Yeah, probably not.
No Kirby idea.
You know what else I don't think can happen, Josh? I don't think you can make Alan Moore's Swamp Thing into a movie.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Big wow, mind-blowing moment is when he discovers he's not human. He's actually a plant that's mimicking a human, and he has the essence of the man inside of him, and so he's not that's the character struggle, and it's all it's all about his feelings and about humanity, and did he really love this woman and all that kind of stuff. It was can you portray that in a movie? And then you get the Floronic Man in that one. That was so weird.
Mm-hmm. Do you trust Mangold to do that?
Not really.
That's the question.
Logan was fine. He had a good movie.
I think he would have done better on the Supergirl movie if you were going to do that. But I think the whole idea of the Swamp Thing is almost what Dylan said about the All-Star Superman. I think it's just that thing to throw out there that everybody loves. Nobody will say anything bad about that saga, the Swamp Thing. It's great.
Right.
So you just throw it out there and see what you got. Yeah, it is. It's really good.
Man, the Stephen Bissett art. Oh, that thing is magnificent. So, Dylan, what do you think they went wrong? What projects should they have had in there? I personally think they needed to have a Titans in here instead of the Authority in the movies, at least.
Yeah, I definitely think Titans would have been a good choice. Also, he said that this wasn't all of Chapter 1, so apparently there's still more stuff to be announced. So who knows? Maybe there is a Titans project. I definitely think there are Titans could have been in there. I think it would have been cool if we have the Flashpoint movie, but it would have been cool if we had an actual Flash movie or something. Especially because also we don't know how far along the Flash universe could be in this. If the Bat family is already filled out, you could have Barry and Wally. We already have 2 Lanterns. Who knows? I think there's a lot of stuff they could have done. I personally, something that I wanted, because if they're going in all different directions and it doesn't
Jonah
matter.
Hex.
That's what I was about to say. Jonah Hex. I wanted Jonah. Talk about perfect for an HBO Max series.
Exactly.
Come on. That would have been perfect. I would have loved to have seen that. And I agree with you guys about Lanterns. It shouldn't have been a series, but if it is a series, something I think they could have easily corrected is make it an animated show. Then you don't have to worry about budget. They said they want stuff to go in and out of animation and live action. Then you don't have to worry about budget.
They've already done a lot of Green Lantern movies animated, and they've already had the animated series as well. I think they want to do something different, but It is like
Movie.
constraining them to Earth, the least interesting like setting in Green Lantern.
Yeah, and there's going to be so many logic flaws with that show because it's going to be like, just use your ring. It's like, well, we don't have the budget, so there's just going to be a lot of stupid stuff happening. That's I see that
like
happening
hand-to-hand
a lot with that.
combat. Another project too. You mentioned, Dylan, is not all the projects are on the slate according to Gunn, right? We are hearing Secret Six is a possible project, and I think that's going to be like more in the line of that whole Waller fallout, though. So it's like, I don't know if to be excited about that if that comes true or not.
I can't believe a Waller show was announced as
basically
Peacemaker like 2.
Yeah,
but still.
they said it was a bridge show to get to Peacemaker season 2 because he can't take time to write it right now. Like that's the whole reason it's there. Look, I love Viola Davis's Waller, I do, but I wish they would have just recast. Like throw Monique in there or something, get another black lady that can like deliver. But I don't know. It was
or
a weird
just don't
choice.
do the series.
And I
They
well,
should've just
that
not
too.
did-
I don't understand why they would do a Secret Six. Like you've got so many like just misfit teams that they're already bringing to the table. Like Creature Commandos misfit team. You got the Suicide Squad, which is clearly there in some remnant form. They're misfits. Secret Six, another group of, and I like the Secret Six, but it's just a weird choice.
Not this way. And Margot Robbie may pop up somewhere too. So I don't know what Gunn's
They really
doing
should have just
overall.
recast everybody. That's like
Everybody.
Yeah.
it's really
Or
annoying.
Henry Cavill.
Like if you want to
Yeah, just
keep
do
the
everyone else.
actors and put them as something else, fine, but just start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, Henry Cavill was Midnighter.
Yeah. Well, I
That was
mean,
Apollo. That was Apollo. And you get
That would
Ben
actually
as
be-
Midnighter. It pisses off all BVS.
So
fans.
obviously we are having a little fallout here still.
Oh,
We've had
man.
the Doom Patrol
Twitter with me.
canceled. The Titans are canceled, and apparently we're only getting another season or two of Lois and Superman.
Thank God Titans got canceled.
Titans
Yeah,
was awful,
it's
but
awful.
Doom Patrol was so good.
Oh man, Gunn got a good backlash from that, and he's like, "Oh, that was before us," but he's keeping stuff that was before them. Still, it's a weird logic with this, and I understand if he wanted to use the Doom Patrol characters, but he's not even. We looked at the slate, right? He's not even using these characters, so why cancel it? But let Superman and Lois go, which is successful on CW. It's just the logic here I'm not getting.
Titans needed to go though, Dylan. That show was
Yeah.
absolutely
It was
terrible. But you think maybe
horrible.
that's why they didn't do a movie? They would have separated from that awful show that was so terrible.
Maybe, but also how many people are going to associate with it? I have no clue how many people watch Titans, but that show's horrible.
Hopefully nobody.
Yeah. So I'm
Closer to
assuming.
zero, the better.
Yeah.
like
So I'm
2
assuming
good
that's not
episodes
what
a
everyone thinks
season.
of.
They got 2 good.
It's probably the
episodes.
worst version of Dick Grayson I've ever seen.
Everything
bad?
they did in the show was.
Yeah, that bad.
I hate the
This is
Jason
what-
Todd, but I don't like Jason
Yeah.
Todd anyway. So, but,
You don't like Jason Todd?
I'm
You
not
just turned
impressed
in your
with.
DC Comics card. Congratulations. sir.
I like the whole Under the Red Hood thing. Like that's great, but like he hasn't been too important after he like came back from the dead. Like I didn't like much from him.
I'm with you, Sil. I'm with you.
He has
you
had
don't
a
like
lot
Jason
of
Todd
mediocre
either.
stories since then.
I need
DC
some
won't
good
do what they
stories.
need to. What they need to do with him. They keep
Red Hood
doing
and the
this
Outlaws
like,
is good.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at the entirety of Red Hood and the Outlaws. The first arc of the New 52 was decent. Everything after that sucked until Rebirth, and then Rebirth it was
I was
good,
talking
and then
about
started
Rebirth.
sucking again. Yeah, but
Rebirth?
you got more than
I'll
just
have to go
Rebirth.
back and read that. I'll go back and read that. Rebirth.
I just hate this whole like, oh, stop killing people, and then he never actually kills people, and they're like, stop killing people, and he's like, I didn't kill anyone.
The
And then the
Penguin
only
killed
story
somebody.
they can tell
The
is
Penguin cop
Batman
out was
thinks
so
he
dumb.
killed somebody, so he's
Yeah,
got to
it's
stop him, and he has to proclaim his innocence. And then they hug it out again.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm tired of them hugging
Well,
it out.
Jason Todd, he's like
Yep.
in limbo right now. Like, what's that new thing they're gonna do? He's gonna kill Bane now to make
Yeah,
himself
he's-
important again.
Yeah, he's going after Bane for killing Alfred.
How many people are going after Bane for killing Alfred? Like,
Too freaking
I'm tired
many.
of hearing about Alfred dying. Like, I get it. It was 5 years ago. Let's get over it. Move past that little death. They didn't make
They
it
should.
seem like it was a big deal at the time, did they? It wasn't like
they
6
should.
months
They
later
should did-
before they did all that stuff.
They
Yeah, it
should
was
did
like-
that rumored story, right? When Joker would have killed Bane, and then that would have probably rebooted the comics.
Yeah.
But you know, what
Well,
I
he
mean,
did-
that would have been more interesting.
He did kill Bane at one
Yeah.
point, and then they backtracked it.
Yeah.
I mean, when
James
it happened,
Gunn.
Batman was, dressing up like Magnum PI and hanging out on the beach. I mean, that's what he was doing when it happened. So it
Yeah,
was
that
a joke
version
anyway.
that version of Selena Kyle illustrated by
Clayman.
Man Clayman is absolutely like, what was he gonna do? He can't leave the beach.
Yeah,
at that
really.
point.
I mean, I know what else he could have done, but
Clayman can do a lot of things, but he does nothing better than some ass. Like, he just knows how to do it.
Every time I see those panels that Clayman did when they're on the beach, that song "Pony" just randomly comes on in the background. So.
Absolutely,
just goes.
So, Jim, what do you think about all the animated projects? We know that they've got the Creature Commandos coming up. It sounds like they got a couple other things in the fire. Do you think they should be tying this stuff into the movies?
No, but I think they sound fun enough. I mean, the Creature Commando stuff, that's always going to be some fun. But, I mean, and like everybody already said, I think the Green Lantern stuff should be in the movies already. But the Creature Commandos,
they should be moving towards Blackest Night.
Yeah. You talk about that a lot, but it's true. There's a great story. And the thing is, where James Gunn is pointing out all these comics that are inspiring everything, I don't know, the Tom King thing just throws me off. You end up now, the Supergirl, you said, it's True Grit, so that makes sense. You just do True Grit again. It's easy enough, and it's already a proven thing. You just kind of adapt it a little.
If you're going to do True Grit in DC Comics, Jonah Hex should be Ruth Cogburn, not Supergirl.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And that Supergirl deal, it's funny because a lot of really true Supergirl fans did not like that story because, as Tom King does, he changes things up. And he ends up where, I don't know how it's accepted, but it's weird. Again, that's my whole thing with all this stuff. Again, like even Creature Commandos, does everybody know that? It just feels weird. And to announce and first start out with a Supergirl by a guy who barely knows what these characters are when he's writing comics, it's a weird play to start that out. You know,
especially with the reputation of Tom King. When people ask their friends, like, have you heard about the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow? It's like, I would never read that. That's Tom King.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. In the fucking world.
I didn't like it. A lot of people liked it. I even told Phil on Twitter, like, just watch True Grit.
On Twitter.
Yeah, I'm like, what's going on? It's just the idea. You can read it. It's just the idea, though, that to start off with the Supergirl and say, boy, this is a Supergirl nobody's ever seen. Well, why don't we start with one that people will want to see and then branch off to something a little different? You know, get to that. And having Tom King, it just worries me. I can see that writer's room all like, well, he's the comic guy. What do you think? And he's like, well,
they're all in therapy.
Yeah. Oh my God. The person comes to them for the Green Lantern. Well, Guy Gardner, he's a rapist. So, you know, work that in. Oh, you know, this guy needs to die. And that guy we have to deconstruct. I mean, what are you going to, it's not.
You know, Wally West has always been a serial killer, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Wally West, he wants to kill people. You know, let me tell you about all these characters. Let me tell you about Mr. Terrific if you want to know. I mean, these are characters he's ruined. And I still think of him as being the guy in the current deal of DC is people have jumped off of DC Comics because of him than actually have gotten into DC Comics with his Heroes in Crisis and The Failed Wedding. It's ridiculous. It really is.
So, Sil, where is this all leading? I know you talked to some people behind the scenes. Is there a big bad that they're going to be setting up a la Thanos? Or is there a big confrontation that they're moving towards?
It literally feels and sounds like they're literally making this up as they go. Like real talk. Like, I don't see... some people were saying, like, maybe it could be like a Brainiac angle, but then why are you deviating doing Swamp Thing, which Gunn says is separate, but the Lanterns is going to somehow tap into the big bad. So it's really no plan right now. There's more of
world, or
it's more of just like, let's get all these different creative people and let's see what sticks. Hopefully Superman's popular so we can do the Justice League in Chapter 2, right? There's no plan right now, and
they better have a good Superman villain, because I'm tired of Lex Luthor. It better be Brainiac in that first movie. You know what I'm saying?
Not hearing like a solid person for Superman, because we was expecting some kind of Lobo tease in this first chapter, but the way they're talking about with Aquaman, because there has to be Momoa, so it has to be Lobo, right? So they may want to do another Aquaman if Aquaman 2 is successful. So they literally have no plan right now. Like, that's really where we're at.
Well, that's very depressing, Sil. Why are you doing this to us? We're just having a friendly debate here, and you just piss on everyone's chili.
No, but he's right. All these films that are old films that are still waiting to come out, like They haven't decided.
Shazam.
Huh?
You still have
Well,
Shazam, Flash, and Aquaman to come
And
out.
then Blue Beetle.
Sure.
All four of those.
Oh
they are
yeah, Blue Beetle, the movie I
juggling
forgot.
in the air. If it does well, they're going to keep them. If it doesn't, they're going to go and change things. So Gunn had his social media thing that he released, but he also had a whole press junket with a small group of press people. And in it, he did say that they had other things planned, but he didn't want to reveal them because it would give too much away in terms of their direction. And I feel like he's probably got like, okay, if this happens, we'll go this direction.
Yeah.
This happens, we'll go this direction. And I think that's really why they haven't announced it.
No, yeah. I mean, you got the Superman, kicking this off. Like you said, it could be an authority connection there, and that could be like a through line, which is cool. But is everything going to tie into that? Is Lanterns? Is Waller? No, all this stuff is not going to tie together. So he made this whole point about saying, oh, DC has been disconnected. That's literally what his slate is. It's disconnected. And it's going to be probably one thread he will try to sprinkle in there, depending on what works. He'll try to tie everything together 5 years from now. Right?
I have a feeling I know what the thread is going to be. They're going to replace Henry Bendix with Amanda Waller, and you're going to end up with similar origins for Apollo, Midnighter, the Engineer, and Swift. I'm debating. I'm not sure whether or not Jenny Sparks is going to be part of this instance of the Authority, or if they're going to go with Jenny Quarks, or Jenny Quantum, whichever one of the versions they want to do. And so Bendix kind of created Apollo and the Midnighter, and had a hand in the creation of the original Engineer that was replaced by the girl Engineer when the original one died. So I'm betting that Amanda Waller plays the Henry Bendix role, and that she ends up kind of the big bad villain that creates her own team to go up against, a team that she can't control in, with Superman and Batman and Supergirl and the Flash and all those other ones, like kind of a Justice League.
All right. Does that sound good though, Doc? Like if that happens?
It's it's absolutely better than Superman and the Authority, or the way that they created the Elite. So I mean, I guess you could kind of do it. It'll be basically one of those, well, we tried the Suicide Squad method. Waller being like, okay, I'll keep running my Suicide Squad, my Task Force X, but then I'm going to kind of work behind the scenes to create my own built-in house that I can control from the time that they are built, superhumans, to that I control. And I think that that's the way it'll end up going.
Possibly. I will say, before they made any announcements on what the slate would be, there was a rumor out that Waller was going to be the hinge of everything. I think I mentioned this on the stream a few months back. And they also discussed that a project with Waller was going to be coming out called The Trial of Waller. So I'm wondering if this Trial of Waller is actually just Waller, but what you're talking about is kind of in line with what a rumor was.
That picture, when he announced Waller, Josh, it showed Waller in handcuffs. Like that's signifying the trial of Waller. Yeah.
So I do want to. We'll end this on this note, and then we'll get to the viewer comments and whatever. But it does bother me that there's one writer we know of from DC Comics in the writers' room, and that is Tom King, and he thinks that Tom King's Supergirl story is one of the best comics he's read lately. It makes me think that James Gunn believes that Tom King has been telling great stories at DC Comics for the past 5 years.
Yeah, that is a terrifying thought.
It is. When I saw that lineup, it was like in my mind was playing the which one doesn't belong. When you see all these great books and then that Supergirl,
it was Black Label with all these great creators, and then Kelly Sue DeConnick. That's what it was. And Tom King is the one that's you're going, what the fuck is he doing there?
Yeah. Even the idea where they went to Tom King about the Supergirl book, and pretty much they pitched it to him. He didn't pitch it to to DC. And they said, we want you to make a book where pretty much Supergirl's a bitch and she can kick ass and kill
You're
people.
the man for
And
the
so
job.
they wanted to change the whole deal of not having her as hopeful and that sort of thing. And right away, it starts out with Supergirl saying, nobody was there for me. No, the Superman was there for you all that time. Yeah, at one point, put her in an orphanage, but who wouldn't? And you end up with all this stuff going down, though. It just didn't feel like Supergirl. And I don't know why. I think James Gunn has to read a little more, comics. Go and read some Peter
Maybe you
David
should
stuff.
read the audience and know
Yeah.
who DC Comics fans are to realize that at this point, Tom King's reputation is awful.
Yeah. And like you said in your video, though, Wes, maybe he gets away from comics now. Thank God. I mean, if
would be
that's the
the
case, I will
saving
support
grace.
everything James Gunn does.
I think
till
they
he
should make
dies.
Heroes and Crisis the movie if it gets him out of comic books.
Yeah, really, just do it.
I will say I think we're looking at this from the wrong perspective of who was in the writers' room. Everyone in the writers' room, the only exception might be Drew Goddard.
Yes.
Everyone in the writers' room had previous connections with either DC or Warner Films that either ended prematurely or never actually got made. And James Gunn had already said, we're going to take care of the people that are kind of getting shit on. So if that's his approach, hey, so be it. Because King was writing.
Well, he's
Yeah.
setting himself up for failure.
And also, though, it also goes with Wes's deal of reading the room. Are they getting Tom King to be this token comic guy? Look, we love comics. We got the best Tom King, and everybody's groaning. Really, that's who you got. It just shows that you're not really that in touch.
No, I seriously think it has more to do with his film wasn't made. I legitimately, and he's been trying to get into film. He's been doing more film and television related stuff for the past 2 years.
Oh, yeah, the New Gods,
So-
Yeah, the New Gods deal, which I don't think would have done well, but that's fine.
All right, let's hear from the viewers. We got some super chats up here. First up, Lane Craner wants to know, Josh, did you lose your power due to the ice storms?
Only for an hour. I got really lucky. I knew plenty of people that didn't have power for a couple of days, so I got super lucky.
Ice
Thank you
storms
for
in
asking.
Texas. Sounds
Yeah,
very
we had
dangerous.
a hard freeze. It kind of knocked stuff out for about a week.
Absolutely. Lane also has a reminder for March. Don't forget to review Hellcat #1 by your favorite writer, Christopher Can't Write Well. But
No.
don't worry, I am picking it up to suffer with you. No, don't worry. Doc will be suffering too.
Yeah.
I hate
We
you
got that
already.
before too. Hey, hate Lane. I wasn't going to do it to you, but I
Fuck
really
you,
want you to
Lane.
read it. Carrie Nerdy Girl Create says, maybe because of the past disappointment, I thought the announcements were okay. I hope they aren't writing the Robins, including Nightwing, out of continuity. I don't think they are. They said it's a Bat Family book. It just can the continuity work with a young Superman and Damian Wayne already as the new Robin? It didn't work in New 52. How about
They
that?
tried to fudge it in there, and that was the big thing. Everybody's like, we had all these Robins in 5-6 years. It makes no sense.
How many
yeah.
Robins has this guy murdered?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Going through Robins left and right.
11.
Common sense. How about Superman American Alien? Can it be a movie? I would make that a. Is that the short stories?
That's kind of
That's the
kind
Max
of
Landis one,
canceled.
yes.
Yeah, Max
Yeah.
Landis got canceled with that. So
Yeah, and they essentially kind of adapted it for the animated movie they made as well.
Wow.
It heavily
good.
inspired that last one. It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would make for a better series than a movie because it's so separate from each other each issue.
Yeah,
It's really
each
good
issue
though.
changes, but it is really good.
Yeah, I was thinking about the one where the one guy was named Clark Kent and he knew about Superman and then became Superman and then he ended up having daughters.
It's about
That one?
Identity.
Yeah,
Yeah, from Kurt Busiek. Yeah.
yeah, I was confusing the two, but yeah, American Alien would be a cool anthology series, like special series on HBO or something. I don't think you can make it a movie.
Yeah.
It'd be too different. Cal Lyle says, I'm looking forward to an unlikable Supergirl based on the writing of that bald bastard Tom King and a Wonder Woman series with no Wonder Woman.
It's kind of like Scooby-Doo without Scooby-Doo. Seems like probably a poor decision. But hey,
Does anyone care about Themyscira or any of those characters without Wonder Woman?
I mean, it would have been cool if there was a
I don't
Wonder
care
Woman
what-
film adjacent to it, but it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't
I don't care-
resonate with me.
I don't
It's
care
like the
about
Pennyworth TV show. Like, who cares about Pennyworth without Batman?
I don't
And we
Yeah.
had the Krypton show.
Yeah.
Does anybody care?
Exactly.
Does anybody care about Themyscira with Wonder Woman? Nobody cares.
I
About...
just wanted to leave Themyscira and go save people.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole point. Hey, you're from this place. We don't need to see it ever. It's fine.
We just
really
need to.
don't.
We just need to wait and see if a trans character pops up on the island, and that'll tell us everything we need to know.
Mia's got to be.
You already
in
know
there.
what's going down.
Oh,
I know.
Zach Richmond says, I'm pretty excited about half of this lineup. Don't care about the Authority or Paradise Lost. Creature Commandos might be the thing I'm most hyped for. That's kind of an indictment. The most excited you're about is Creature Commandos.
Well, it's already in
Be
production, right?
People have opinions.
They should have some episodes out next year. So, hey, good DC animation, hopefully.
Man, they should have done Superman, Man and Superman from Marv Wolfman. That would have been the best Superman legacy story they could have done, Dylan.
That would have been really cool. I would have been down for that, but Tom King didn't write it, so it's a no-no.
Well, you got to be
Grant
British or
Morrison.
Tom King.
Apparently.
You might as well just deport to Britain anyway. You know what I mean? Send him over to England.
Yeah.
Was it Warren Ellis, Grant Morrison, and Alan Moore,
Alan
right?
Moore.
That's basically the entire British invasion.
Yeah.
It's the Vertigo
Yeah.
verse, but in DC.
Mr. DC Comics says, so is he building towards the Authority versus Justice League, heroes versus anti-heroes?
I'm leaning towards yes.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, and it'll basically just be an adaptation of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way, which was Superman versus the Elite.
Which would be interesting with a younger Superman, because the thing that's like a seasoned Superman in that story, and that's a big part of the story. He's like Superman's been doing it for a long time, and he's old hat now, and now you got the new kids on the block that are killing people. So to have like a younger Superman taking off kind of changes that story a bit.
I'd
What if
rather
Midnighter and
Sync.
Apollo run a game on him, right? To drop his defenses, play a little flirty with him, and they take him hostage. They stab him with some kryptonite while they think he's about to do a three-way.
That
Wait, I
sounds
thought-
like a Tom King story.
I thought we were doing Clark and not John.
Oh,
Come on.
wait, are
That
we
was
doing
just
John
my.
Kent?
I pitched
Oh,
that
it's-
to DC myself, just like
Yeah.
Josh. That was my pitch.
It's Clark. It's going to have Jimmy Olsen. It's going to have Lois. It's Clark, y'all.
And you got Jay Nakamura with his pink kryptonite hair to turn John gay.
Steak Boss
Where?
says, shout out to the best comic show on YouTube. Well, shout out to the best viewer on
I
YouTube,
agree.
Steak Boss. That's a good handle. Thank you very much,
That
sir.
is a good handle.
Kyle Lyle says, honestly, I don't want any more superhero movies. And that monster team is just going to be a Guardians movie with that stupid Scooby-Doo humor.
Distinctly possible.
Yeah, with Weasel there, of course.
Oh, the Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
I think, hey, good DC animation. I can't turn it down, even if it's James Gunn. So I'm looking forward
Did
to
you
that.
like the Super Sons film?
I still have not watched it.
I thought
Yeah,
you couldn't
still
turn it
haven't
down.
But he said
I
good
just gotta,
animation.
I just got to
It
watch
wasn't very
yeah.
good, Dylan?
I didn't watch it because I don't like the art style. I couldn't get into the art style, so I'm like, I
Teddy
can't.
said it was amazing.
It was pretty
Oh,
good.
really? I'll check it out eventually.
I heard it was good, just the art style turned me off. I couldn't
It's
do
not
it.
on HBO
Yeah.
Go here. It's only on HBO Max in the States or whatever. So I haven't got to watch it yet. But I don't know. It would be nice to have a 5-year break from superhero movies, and then it could be exciting again. It might be coming up with this plate a little too late. Common Sense says, do you think Paradise Lost is an adaptation of The Odyssey of the Amazon by Kevin Grubu? I've seen
better not
some
be.
wants to show be Wonder Woman Historia bad, right? Do not do Wonder Woman Historia. I
No,
would
the
rather
Kevin
do
Griffith
the-
is worse. It's so bad.
Wonder
That is
Woman
awful.
hysterectomy.
Kevin Graveau is a genius. What are you talking about? Why are you talking
Genius.
crap about the guy that made
That book sucked. It was so bad. It was
sometimes you
awful.
swing for the fences and you win.
Yeah,
And you strike out.
maybe.
That was
Yeah.
a strikeout.
Yeah.
I
They
love
can't
it.
do Wonder Woman Historia though. But they
First of
should.
all, it's not done.
It is done.
Oh, it is done? They finally
Finished
finished
3
it?
issues. Yeah, it finished a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
You're lucky I didn't make you read the end of that thing. But I wanted to spare you.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'm assuming it's going to be that Phil Jimenez
Mhm.
Paradise Lost story without Wonder Woman in it, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Cal Lyle says, I don't know the Authority apart from that naked silver lady, but it sounds like an excuse to have the first gay wedding in history.
That would be the engineer.
Yeah.
she's the naked Silver Lady. Think about a Green Lantern if it was done using nanotech instead of a lantern. So that's it.
Callan also says, did you notice how many times he said marvelous? Was he throwing shade? Was that secret shade?
He threw some shade at Marvel, talking about writing scripts and finishing them before they start filming.
There's this long rumor that Marvel vs. DC Gunn really wants to see it happen eventually, probably in 2030, to that crossover.
If you guys notice, it's going to be hard for them to compete with the MCU because it feels like all these projects at a minimum are PG-13.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them have to be hard R, like The Authority has to be R. Swamp Thing is likely R because it's going to have a lot of body horror and nasty stuff in it.
Paradise Lost was a series, but yeah.
I mean, we say that, but Joker was successful.
That's what I think they're looking at,
the
especially
Joker.
again with that Tom King deal and the Supergirl. I think they're looking at that more gritty adult deal. I think it might be a misplay though overall.
I mean, we say it's the Joker, but I would say it's very much not the Joker when you look at it in terms of comic book characters.
I'm saying
to me,
the
was
name
not
the Joker.
Now.
It's the character that sells it.
Agreed, but it was still a rated R movie that did over $1 billion. It's
It's the highest growing rated R film ever, right? Maybe they can do that 10 more times.
Make another one.
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, it's modern DC, so the Authority is just going to be the Authority human on the inside because fucking you got to give money to John Ridley somehow.
Well, we'll see about that. Dylan Lindsay, if Superman's going to be fighting the Authority, wouldn't an older version of him make more sense? So he has more experience to take on an entire team. He's got a point there, Dylan.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying earlier. Like that's a huge component of the story is that he's been doing it for a while and now he's old hat and like people are getting tired of the way he deals with things. For now, if he's like a new Superman, if both the teams are new at the same time, it takes away a big aspect of that story.
Well, Tom King was like, you know what? Let's make him younger. And there you go.
I do think it's
Probably.
pretty clear they're wanting a young Superman so they can have him last for about 10 to 15 years doing films. And it seems like they have every intention of having a Bruce Wayne that they're going to kill and let Dick Grayson become Batman.
Doesn't it seem that way too?
100%.
Okay, because I'm not insane.
No. Because your Bruce Wayne's going to have to be at least like 40, 45 minimum.
Okay, yeah, I thought I was the only one noticing. I was like, this is some weird stuff. It feels like they're
That could be
setting
a play.
something up.
And I bet they're going to cast Damian older. So I bet they're going to have Damian around his age that he currently is in comics, 13, 14, as opposed to
Instead
like
of 8?
7 or 8. Yeah.
Murdering people.
Yeah, he can't be 8 out there as an assassin. That's not.
Well,
Yeah.
they did that in with Hit Girl, right? Wasn't she like?
Yeah, but she was like already 12, 13.
Was she?
So
But I think it's going to be PG-13. This Bat Family film. They're not going to have an 8-year-old. Yeah.
slicing and
We'll see.
dicing.
Yeah.
Chopping
Mr.
some heads
DC
off.
Comics. So people give The Rock all this crap about Black Adam being unknown. Then Warner Brothers turns around and green lights the Authority.
Well, that's because they don't like The Rock. That's
James
all.
Gunn is the CEO. He probably the one that agreed with it. I think that's his passion project.
Yeah, Gunn just doesn't like The Rock. That's all it is. Or Cavill.
Well, I guess they were competing behind the scenes to be like in charge.
yeah,
The
The
Rock
Rock
lost
made a
out.
play. Supposedly The Rock knew Gunn was going to make a play to become, him and Safran, head of DC Studios, and The Rock tried to force the Cavill thing because he knew Gunn was going to do a new Superman. So who knows who was first or whatever, but it got nasty behind the scenes, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like The Rock lost out, but he's got the XFL starting soon.
He lost. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Y'all
he
just
many
got
things.
your glimpse of
Naked
Doc.
Silver
If you
Lady.
missed it,
Saw the beard, yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
First
Nice.
appearance of Doc on the channel.
Oh, that was
Collector's item.
monumental here, man. Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, the time
How much
stamp
is that
for
worth, Doc?
I think it's actually up to a couple $100 now. All of a sudden,
Yeah, we'll be talking about that on the channel tomorrow. Doc and I will be talking about the rising
Good
prices
stuff right
in
there.
FOMO. Gobbin says, I feel they're better Supergirl stories to adapt like Supergirl 96 to 2003 with Matrix in Linda or 2005 to 2011. Batman, Superman, Apocalypse is what? Yeah, there are better Supergirl stories to adapt. Even when she was Damers or whatever. Remember she had the other name?
Man, I like the whole play of eventually a Red Lantern. I think that would be a great idea too.
It looks like that's the direction they're going. Like, why else would you want an angry Supergirl? Like she's gonna have to be angry and mad to be able to be a
Gotta
Red
set that
Lantern.
up.
But can
And
she
that's-
be a Red Lantern? Because Red Lanterns aren't supposed to be good.
That's what I'm saying. If she's coming in and she's pissed because she grew up on a floating rock that was left of Krypton, and she's
I'd rather have
angry
Atrocitus.
huh?
I'm sure they'd have them
I'd
all.
rather have Atrocitus.
Yeah, I just
that'd be
it
both.
just I feel like that's the direction they're going.
I can see it.
They have the
Davin Griffin.
setup.
I wanted to see a TV series for Cassandra Cain Batgirl, HBO Max, in a movie in the future.
That would have been cool.
They should have.
Go ahead.
Throw
I don't
in
know if
that
I'd do a
family
series
film.
with Cassandra Cain because she doesn't really talk.
She
So-
does.
Like a
She-
Birds of Prey
she
series
does
with
some
Cassandra
now,
Cain
but
and
yeah.
Barbara Gordon. Of course, they tried that on Fox, right?
it
Back in the 90s?
Yeah.
was WB. Yeah.
It was about WB, yeah. Yeah, I think we'll see Cassandra. We will see Cassandra Cain in that Brave and the Bold, but I think you'll see it for like 20 seconds. Be very, very limited.
Yeah,
Will it
maybe
be
get
this-
a Birds of Prey down the line or something.
Will it be the same shitty, not Cassandra Cain as the Birds of Prey movie?
We're gonna
Absolutely could
hope
be.
that
James
James
Gunn
Gunn
is
got
keeping it all on the
Yeah.
table. He
Christina
hasn't
Hodgson
committed.
is part of the committee, Doc, so very good chance of that again.
Oh,
Cal
yeah.
says there will be complaints if Gunn keeps some of the actors and his wife.
He is.
It's already confirmed. Yeah.
Yep.
Like he was going to fire his wife. This is a good way to get in trouble.
Now, I will say, I'm wondering if the only reason they're doing this, well, I don't know. We'll see. I was wondering if there were like contractual obligations that they had to keep for Peacemaker 2 since they already announced it and kind of like signed the dotted line.
It's all Gunn stuff. Like this Waller project,
Yeah.
Gunn's been an EP on this like for over a year, so he's gonna get his stuff out there at this point.
I don't know. They dropped the Batgirl movie and lost like $80 million from. They didn't seem to care. What's the
Yeah, well,
contract doing
Saffron called. Well, he actually said that was a good idea. It's
Yeah.
a good call.
I think we're talking about that later, right? Separately, yeah.
there? Yeah. Daniel Beatty says I pitched Blackest Night back in December, and for Marvel to use Galactus to end the MCU.
I remember
Did
that,
you
Daniel.
pitch it? Did you pitch it
On the
to
show.
Oh yes. Yeah, Blackest
I hope
Night's
they
the
do
way to go,
Blackest
and as long as Galactus is an enormous cloud, I think that's the way to go. It was a pretty good version of the character. Cal
Well, dude-
Lyle, what?
I was going to say they'll do Ultimate Galactus where he's just a swarm of bugs.
Isn't that what Apocalypse is? Or no, not Apocalypse. Is it Apocalypse? I can't remember. Doesn't he have Phantom? The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse?
Yeah, no. It was literally a swarm of like giant bugs
There you
that,
go.
that had the Galactus helmet.
Caleb says trying to do a video game won't work because gamers want to have fun with good stories, not want to play unlikable characters. Yeah, plus video games have their own like mechanics as far as storytelling and everything. Trying to get everything to
Gunn
fit
gave,
together.
Gunn gave the worst example of how the game will work. He was like, if Superman comes out 2 years later, Supergirl, he's like, I can have a game about crypto to tie those two together. I'm like, bro, that was the worst example.
You're not selling me in. Sell me on
I
this
was
idea
like,
here.
pull the plug.
Crypto sold.
Plus, it's not like. Remember when you would get like the Street Fighter movie would come out, so they made Street Fighter movie the game.
Mhm.
It's like I don't
Nobody
wanna
wants
play this.
that.
I'd rather just
No.
play
You
Play
Fighter
Street
2.
Fighter.
An adaptation of a game that adapts a movie
that
that
should
adapted a
never.
game. That's fucking meta.
I like the Matrix idea where they had the side mission, like in Matrix was Reloaded, and like you had the Jada Pinkett character game that was tied into the movie. I thought that was a good idea. I thought that's what Gunn was going to do, but no.
You like Matrix Reloaded, huh?
It's all right, but the game concept was cool.
Is that the most? Or is it Revolution? Which is the most recent one?
The newest one.
What's that new one?
Matrix.
Yeah,
It was
Resurrection.
Reloaded, Revolutions,
Resurrections.
Resurrection. That thing was full.
It was good for the
That's
first
rough.
15 minutes.
Caleb also says, "What do you want to see that aren't superhero movies? I like more Godzilla and Kong movies, but what do you want to see? I want to see Ice Pirates redone.
Bloodsport. I'm in.
Super
You
Mario
can't do
Brothers,
better
man.
than JCVD on Bloodsport. Like,
No.
come on,
True.
It's the best.
it's like retrying to make Casablanca.
hey, you get him back. He's looking good. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you
have
can
him
only
do
do it with
spy stuff. They
JCVD.
go off. Yeah, I know. I thought they were going to have a sequel at one point where they were going to go off and be super spies. I had this crazy idea in my mind, but it never happened. I need it to happen before I die, which will be next week. There it is.
Doc, which
What
one
do you
is that?
wanna-
It's got a Stormwatch.
Stormwatch, Volume 2, Number 4, first Apollo and the Midnighter.
Boom.
Very nice. Josh, what movie do you want to see? What's the project that needs to be made?
Crap. I don't know. It's not superhero movies. Like if I'm not watching superhero
I always wanted
movies,
Sword of Shannara to be made into a movie, but they already did it in a TV show.
yeah. I don't know. If I'm not watching a superhero film, I tend to lean like towards espionage, spy thriller type stuff, or I go with just really intense, depressing dramas. So I don't know.
The Man from Uncle 2, huh?
Emily in Paris, the
No,
movie.
I wasn't crazy about The Man from Uncle. Like it was fun, but
I can't believe they're doing a sequel to that. Calvin says, I don't think Blackest Night can be adapted. I think it can be a really good movie. You would have to set
lead
it up,
to
though.
it.
Maybe in
Yeah.
the Lanterns TV show.
yeah.
Like it would. There's a lot of setup that you'd have to do on that one. Wayne Tech Ted, looking to the next DCU studio head, this will be a train wreck. It was obvious that Gunn was the wrong pick. Color me a pessimist, but I thought this DCU output should have disqualified him. I'm kind of with you. I think this is going to go really badly for him.
Oh, what's hovering is Comcast is going to make a bid on WBD next spring, and I think they're going to get sold. You know what I mean? So,
Oh yeah.
who knows what will happen then?
Because I just don't see the authority without a strong, vibrant DCU if it's going to connect it into it, like be successful as the second movie. I don't think the Supergirl movie can be successful. Obviously Superman Legacy will probably do pretty well, and the Batman movie will do all right, but
It's all about the Superman film. That Superman film has to hit. Like, it has to slap hard in 2025, or this is going to fail.
And I remember watching the first trailer for Man of Steel, and he had like the plume, like he was a jet flying. I was like, oh man, this thing is going to be absolutely amazing. Just look at that. That looks cool. And I saw the movie. I was like, fuck. Kidding me?
I think this film, this Legacy film, it should hope it could be as good as Man of Steel, in my opinion.
It needs to be about 15 times better.
I'm just saying, just the bar. I love the Man of Steel film, but
You got some
has a
tomato
bar.
J levels of bad taste in films, man.
It was a perfectly good Hyperion movie.
Hey, I'll take it.
It was the best Snyder DC film. I'll put that out there.
Yeah,
I will
for
give you
sure.
that.
Yeah, we got some positives here. Hey, there we go.
You didn't like The Watchmen?
I
That
didn't
was
like
a
the
really
Watchmen.
faithful adaptation of a DC
but
property.
that's where you have to understand that comics are a completely different medium than film or television.
It
You
took
got
me
to
like
change
3
it up a
times to
little
get
bit.
through the movie. I
It
mean, they
was-
changed the ending because they couldn't do the squid.
Yeah,
Slow
or
as
something like
It
that.
was a good version of Rorschach, though. But it did have the cringy hallelujah moment.
Yeah.
So, Dylan, you would have been about 9 years old when you saw that. Did you think hallelujah was cringy at the time?
I didn't see it till years later, so
Okay.
I can't
Your
tell you.
parents were responsible.
Yes, I was not allowed to see Watchmen.
Eric O'Sullivan, the Sultan of Soup himself. That was great to see Truth, Justice, and the American Way quoted in print from these DC movie creatives. Hey, everybody. You too, Doc. Cheers. Nice to see that you put Doc in his own category of humanity there.
Yes.
I appreciate that. And
Yep.
it was very nice to see Truth, Justice, and the American Way and them not to shy away from it.
That was great, and it pissed off all the right people on Twitter too.
Yeah, I
was
think it's
very
slipped.
happy.
Yeah,
I don't think it slipped. I think that I would put money
It felt
that was the
purposeful.
Zaslav direction. Because I'm sure Zaslav referenced Truth, Justice, and the American Way, and people were like, no, he doesn't say that anymore. And Zaslav was probably like,
he's saying it.
Well,
Yeah.
no, that's
He said in the animated movie too.
Hold
the,
on, hold on.
Super
I think that there's a very specific reason that he said that.
Going
It's
against
because it is a little bit of foreshadowing of their plan
Yeah.
to essentially do an adaptation of What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. That was the name of the story from Joe Casey. That was Superman versus the Elite, which were a stand-in for the Authority.
true.
And that's where you're leading to. That's the exact reason why he used that phrase.
Well, I think it was effective. We've got Chris from Comics Exposed. hey, get ready to pucker up because even though Gunn announced the titles of what's coming, he never said who will be doing what. John Ridley is in the house. Man.
Again, I'd
John,
rather.
if John
I'm a
Ridley's gonna
comics
do
guy.
something, it needs to be the authority.
Yeah, and I'd
Fuck
rather
you.
him do movies than comics. So
I'm about to say
start
he's
doing
got a
movies
better
again.
he's got a better track record with film than he does with
Exactly.
comics.
Yeah.
Does he really have a track record with film? He's made one movie anyone's ever heard of.
Still better than his comics track record.
That's true. He hasn't
It
written
really
a good
is.
comic book yet. I'll give him that. But he's written the authority. That's why I'm pitching John Ridley for the authority
No.
and nothing else.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Just put him on that Supergirl thing because I'm not watching that. So
Yeah.
just push
Tom
that
King-
aside, right?
Tom King
You
and
can-
John Ridley on that book. Or on that movie.
That can be the quarantine zone
Exactly.
where you shove all of the disaster creators that they're keeping
Megan
on.
Fitzmartin can be like the production assistant getting them coffee.
Yep, and,
Yeah.
and the chick that did Birds of Prey that is somehow still involved. The chick that wrote Batgirl who's somehow still involved. All those ones with their failed movies and canceled movies can all get quarantined into that section, and everybody there. It would be just a who's who
It's-
of who
No,
failed.
it's Trash Island. Is what it is. That's all it
All
is.
right.
Doc, you
Daniel-
referenced the same person. That's the same writer for both projects.
Oh, really?
yeah,
It is?
Christina
Oh,
Hodson did.
He hates
did the
them
Batgirl
double.
role, Amanda. Yeah.
Okay, well then they are. I don't know. Fuck.
Daniel Beatty says he's collecting World's Finest. Thank you.
Nice.
Well, I'm glad that we could help. Dylan, did you finally
yeah.
start reading World's Finest?
Nope.
No,
Still haven't. I read the first issue. It was okay. Never checked out anything else after.
Oh my goodness.
That's
You
a-
Well,
sir.
we can tell by that giant sweatshirt that he's not thinking right anyway. So that's probably the reason. Like, you should
He's
read it,
reading
Dylan. It's
John
awesome.
Kent, Man of Tomorrow, but he isn't reading World's
I'm
Finest.
not reading John Kent. I'm not reading that either.
I heard you skip into your
Yeah.
local comic shop to pick up the John Kent book. But
That is true.
yeah.
Superman son,
Action
Kal-El.
comics.
That new one's gonna be fire.
Common Sense says, you saw the comics getting adapted into DCU is sold out on Amazon. Gunn also tweeted, elevate other Superman villains. No Luthor, Brainiac, or Lobo. Yes, they sold out everything, which typically happens when these announcements are made.
Mhm.
Because they never, well, in this case, I don't think they had a lot of prep time to actually have things in print to prepare for the big announcement. And they'll probably do another printing. But, you know, none of these movies are going to come out for at least 3 years. So it's going to be a while. It'll fade off and then get hot again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc and I are going to talk about this in full tomorrow on the channel. But
I think it's like we have 2.5 years before the Superman project. is
I think
supposed
that's
to be
pretty optimistic,
Yeah,
Josh.
July
It's
They haven't
super
written
optimistic.
They haven't written a script yet.
Yeah.
Well, it's not finished yet, you know, so we don't know.
He's
Yeah,
very
they
far.
hasn't
But
finished
that's
halfway
basically
through.
why they penciled it in.
Yeah. it's-
Somehow, when the movies come out, DC will still be shocked and not have books out for the characters and properties that are there. They'll
We're
be
fighting
blindsided
characters.
3 years from now.
Well,
I think
hell,
it
he
has to be out though.
yeah. I'm about to say he's going to have to get it out because his contract was just 4 years, 5 years. What was it?
Yeah, 4 years from
4 years.
22. So yeah,
So, like
26
2025, he's already 3
That's
years
a
into
jumping
his
off
contract.
point for him to leave, huh? For them to fire. Definitely see
More
that. Calvin says
Stormwatch.
the second elephant in the room is Ezra Miller.
Ezra's done.
He's going to therapy.
Oh, I
now, though.
understand that they don't want to bomb the movie, but you still have to be decisive and not bomb your future projects by not saying, hey, this guy that's doing all this criminal activity that everyone hates, we're not going to associate with anymore after the project.
Don't you think that would affect it? I mean, because you kind of caveated that.
I don't
might
think
affect
it's
the
going to
film.
do very well anyway.
It'll be a movie.
Now that they
I
made
think.
this announcement, it doesn't feel important.
True.
They didn't say the beginning of this was Flashpoint, this Flash movie. They said the beginning is Superman Legacy.
Yeah, he chose his words carefully when he was talking about these 4 projects
Yes.
that are already like pretty much wrapped up versus the new stuff. So I think he politically he balanced that pretty well, all things considered. I would say don't expect to see these people in these roles again.
Yeah.
No.
But
Ezra's
at the
done.
same time, I'm hearing across the board that The Flash is supposed to be an excellent film. So who
Yeah.
freaking knows? Like,
They're
and not
pushing
even
it
just
like
studio
crazy.
people. Like, it's tested well with incredibly well with audiences.
They have
So
a Super Bowl
These
commercial.
things happen, man. Ready to Rumble was a great movie. It didn't even make any money.
Resonated.
Dread was an amazing movie. That might be the
never
best
living that
Yeah.
down.
adaptation of a comic book I've ever seen, and it didn't make money. Although Dread
Yeah.
isn't, the Flash, but you know what I'm saying.
He-
It's probably
Ezra's out. He's out of here.
It's got
They're just not going to admit Ezra's out
Yes.
until after the movie comes out.
Yeah, you have to
Agreed.
wait until after.
Exactly.
That's
Just
still
like
like
Shazam. Just
I
like all
think
these
means
guys.
we're probably going to get Wally West, and I'm all for it.
I would love that. I would love that.
Comics Exposed. Do you think Chris Pratt will be Booster Gold? What Guardians of the Galaxy actors, actresses do you think will come over to the DCU with Gunn? It kind of makes sense for Chris Pratt to play Booster Gold. If you want that to be a big character, although Chris Pratt is kind of like a bigger name now. I think John Cena would have been the best Booster Gold, or Guy Gardner. But,
Or
he's
Shazam.
already Peacemaker.
Yeah.
Shazam,
John
yeah.
Cena's Shazam?
Yeah. why
John
not?
Cena's a moron. That doesn't make any sense.
That's just they already
John
picked a
Cena-
moron.
John
Henry Cavill should play Shazam.
John Cena
That would be
versus
good.
The Rock, and it just end up being a
Coincided with
redo.
WrestleMania.
Yes, they could yes, they can have it coincide with WrestleMania and have
Yeah.
Maybe they bring
Shazam
over
versus Black Adam.
the dude that voiced Rocket Raccoon, and he could be Booster Gold.
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
He's got some
Eagles
good
fan.
He'd be a great Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
point.
well, with Booster Gold, a lot of people saying Glenn Powell
Yeah.
is a fan casting too. So either
I don't.
way,
There's multiple people Glenn Powell could play, and if they don't scoop him up, they are
Oh, yeah,
stupid.
Is he in
'Cause
Guardians
he's
of the Galaxy?
No.
We're
He's
supposed
just
to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy here.
yeah, I get it, but there's a lot of people fan casting him for Booster Gold, and I think
For
he'd be a
Booster
good Booster Gold. But I'd almost rather him be someone like hell. He could even play like Midnighter, or he could do.
I think
Green
Vin
Lantern.
Diesel should be the Batmobile.
That would be
You know
good.
what I mean? He could be the voice
that talks.
He could
that
do
talks
that.
back to Batman.
The
Huh?
Mantis
Yeah.
lady's supposed to come over, and Zoe
He's got the
Saldana-
acting chops for that.
Everyone wants her in something. So
Yeah,
yeah,
The Mantis lady.
yeah.
You
Look,
don't
they
even know
said
his name.
Mantis.
him. I can't remember her name.
Zoe Saldana. Who should she play? Batgirl?
Oh,
A little old
she'll
for
play
Batgirl.
anything.
She'd be
They just
Batwoman.
give her
Supergirl.
I would. William Daniels should
Why
be
not?
the Batmobile. He was Kit, so you just do that. Boom.
Well, unless if
Yeah,
he's a
Batista
voice
already-
actor, you got to have somebody that can actually play the character in real life. apparently.
That's true.
Batista said Gunn said he's too old to play anything, so I guess we won't see Dave Batista.
Dave Bautista as
Look,
Alfred. Eh?
He won't get his neck broken.
He's a character actor now. What's a better character to play than Alfred?
I would love to see Dave Batista in anything. Yeah, he's awesome.
Nolan Nerd, who dat? Thanks for the stream, Wes. What's up, Doc? Good morning, panel. Who dat to Zach Richfield? Man, you guys just lost Sean Payton. You traded him to the what was it, the Broncos?
Yep.
My goodness. Well, I hope you're excited for this DC news, and good to see you, sir. Comics Exposed. Josh, Cassandra Cain should have never been allowed to talk. That's what made her character so good in the beginning. Then they made her open her mouth. And that sounds
and then
dirty.
you have like non-writing chumps like Clunrad writing her now,
Clunrad,
giving
yeah.
her these huge like monologues.
Oh my God,
speech
she is
bubbles
monologuing
with
just
Twitter and Teen Talk,
soliloquies.
and
Oh my
like
God.
I was fine with one or two words here and there, and then they ruined it. Like,
She
yeah.
just should have said jinkies or something, you know? A little catchy.
I blame James Tynan because he had her say more than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Blames James Tynan for a lot of bad writing tropes now, but that's another video.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Beatty, movie equals Thundercats. That's the movie they should make. I agree with that. This is the way I cast it. Lion-O is Brad Pitt. Vin Diesel is Panther. Who else do they? Who's the Thundercats? You guys haven't thought about this?
They
No.
CGI all of it.
Yeah.
What's CGI? No, it's got to be live action. You don't like the Thundercats still? You
It ends
seem
up being like that
Thundercats guy.
Cats
I know.
movie.
Yeah, the animated one. Yeah, that's good.
James Corden will be in it. He'll be
Live
dancing
action.
around.
He'll be
Live
Panther.
action.
James Corden. Oh my goodness. Doc Lane. Hey Doc, I love you and I love reading Hellcat #1.
I
He
hate
did
you.
it out of love, Doc. He didn't do it out of spite.
I hate you. I hate everyone here. That's why I'm the channel mascot. Because I hate everybody.
Dylan Lindsay wants to know if Comcast buys WB, do you think they keep Gunn? No.
As long,
Anytime you
well,
acquire another property,
Well,
you end
it
up cleaning
depends.
house.
as long as Zazov's still there, long as Zazov stays and runs the media portion, he'll keep Gunn.
Well,
only
you
way
can
that
also have
happens.
to look at it too as like, is it going to be successful? If they're successful, then yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
if
it won't
bombs,
be their
yeah, you just
success.
wipe
You
the
don't
slate.
understand how egotistical people with lots of money are.
Fair point. Fair point.
I fully understand. I've been in rooms with these people, listening to negotiations. They care about making money. If Gunn is making the money, they will keep Gunn.
We'll see what happens. I think if they do buy him, I think they'll end up cleaning house, and we'll get another restructure like
Another
happens every other
reboot.
time there's an acquisition.
Like DC Comics, right? Like
Uh,
another reboot.
Callum says that video of Gunn proved Hollywood people are different species from human beings.
Well, we've
Which
known
is
that.
talking about the release video. Josh was in Hollywood. What did you think? Did you belong there?
No, I left there for a reason. It's a different
Place is
species of
gross.
human beings. Oh God. Yeah.
All right. Dylan says director cut of Watchmen is top tier.
Ultimate cut.
It's even longer.
Nah. It is. It's even more boring. It drags even more. I don't know
Like
what
I
Snyder's
appreciate
thing is
the
with slow
extended
motion,
versions
but
of Lord of the
stop.
Rings, but fuck, those movies are 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
It's like, yeah, that movie was too long to be good with. Wade Tech 10, the Snyder cut was good.
Yeah.
It's not a movie. It's 4 hours. It's like, God.
It's
Still had some
experience.
flaws, but even that, I don't think these new films will be able to touch that movie.
It's a
outta
goddamn
here.
1980s TV miniseries.
Yes. Remember they used to make every Stephen King movie into a miniseries
Stand.
on CBS?
Yeah, The Stand. It was like
Yes.
6 hours.
it's got the artsy aspect ratio, so it's good.
Did you like the Snyder cut? I've never asked you that, Dylan.
I liked it. It was fine. Like I didn't love it or anything. I think it's very easy to top, but it was better than Bat v Superman, that's for sure, and the normal.
Batman v Superman was atrocious.
Yes. So it's a
was.
step up.
It was better than
It was better than the Whedon cut. So I'll say that.
Someone did take all the slow-mo scenes in the Snyder cut and then sped them up to regular speed, and it shaved 45 minutes off
Makes
of the
sense.
film. Like that, they should have just gone with it.
Yes.
Absolutely. Dylan also says, so the MCU was able to release financial success after financial success, so we never actually saw a problem. What if one of these movies in the lineup, such as Supergirl, bombs? Do they continue? That's the problem.
They just pivot. Like it's
Yeah.
so spread it out. Whatever doesn't work, they could just pivot away from it.
I don't know.
I think we need to keep in mind too. Phase 1 was not as successful as people think it was.
at the time it was super duper successful, and they were only making the movies for like 80 million each, not like 350 million now, like nowadays.
Yeah.
The only movie that didn't really blow up, if you want to call it part of Phase 1, and I do, was that Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah. I mean, everything was
Incredible Hulk.
basically making 4 to 5 times its budget.
Yeah. Except for the Incredible Hulk, for some reason, that was a good movie.
I
that
think some of these DC things are easy to pivot from, though. If Supergirl doesn't work out, or say the Authority, they kind of just, hey, that didn't happen, and pivot. Except
You
if
said
the
it set up
Authority
the
is this
Authority to
big
fight
giant
Superman.
thing. Well, that's what I just said. It is the bigger thing, but something
And you
like a
think Supergirl's
Supergirl.
going to be a Red Lantern to fight Superman?
It's still, though, when you end up pivoting away, you're like, well, it really wasn't that much of a Supergirl deal. It's somebody. You
Go
just
pivot
go
right
away
over to
from
Lex
it.
Luthor.
Yeah,
Didn't see
just
that
pivot
coming.
to the Creature Commandos. You just go right
Go
there.
what works.
Yeah.
Callum says, do you ever fan cast villains like Kelsey Grammer or Andy Serkis being Gorilla Grodd? Wasn't Kelsey Grammer Beast? That was a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
Who was?
Mhm.
He was.
Andy
Twice.
Serkis doesn't have the bulk to be Gorilla Grodd, you know? Plus, it's typecasting now that he's done all those Planet of the Apes movies, don't you think?
He's just a monkey.
True.
I didn't like Gorilla Grodd in the Flash TV show. Just putting that one out there.
No, that's one of the best things in the show. What?
I just want to know who they're going to cast Mark Strong as now. Like, what villain will he
Yeah.
be this
It's
time?
got to be Sinestro. He was perfect.
He was
Man.
perfect as Sinestro.
Best part of
Missed
that movie.
opportunity.
Although, what's his face did illustrate him as Lex Luthor in that series that he did, and he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we shall see. Comics Exposed. If Gunn can pull off Superman versus the Authority with the what's wrong with storyline, I'll have a new level of respect for Gunn. Time will tell.
Depends on who he brings
Doc,
in to
will
actually
you eat a
make it.
plate of crow if that happens?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, look, as much as I really liked the Authority, so I didn't like the way Joe Casey kind of shit all over them as the Elite in that story. But at the same time, I understand it because the juxtaposition with the Authority's tactics to say that of Superman is very obvious. So he kind of had to go that way. But at the same time, I don't know if I necessarily want to see an entire phase building up to that. Mostly because it's just taking what I consider good characters and that are morally gray and shitting on them. But hey, whatever.
Common Sense says, fire Ezra Miller and lock them up in jail. Yeah.
Just don't use them anymore for DC. That's all. Just
Lade Graver says, Proxima Midnight versus Queen Nubia. Who you got, Jim?
I would say Proxima Midnight against Queen Nubia.
You do know that Queen Nubia is fabulous, right?
She is fabulous. I did hear that, and I hear that they won. But
she's a strong, independent woman.
This is
Jim.
the
What
problem:
are you
is
doing
in
here?
this fight, she's not going to have the writers propping her up way more than she should. She's going to have to.
What about when
fight,
Proxima Midnight says, "You're the first woman that's ever tried to stop me, and I can't believe it. I must give up now."
Wow, that's what will happen. No, not even just that. Then we'll continue with all of the great things that Queen Nubia is.
You.
Oh my goodness, I love you. I've heard about you. You're the greatest. You're my queen. And then, yeah, I guess the fight's over then.
Bends the knee.
Yes,
Goes now
down.
Pledge my sword to Themyscira.
And then they go over and party up at the Well of Souls, which we have no idea what's going on with because no writers do, and then the party's on.
You have a Tina come to the wolves.
Well,
Hey,
and
everyone,
really,
my
if you want to
name's
really
Tina.
get into it, yeah, and then they go and walk hand in hand talking about how they hate men, and then it ends. That's how it ends.
I'm with Proxima Midnight as well, mainly because she has her staff. It's got like the power of a star.
Yeah, but Queen Nubia has the power of being a strong, independent woman.
So does Proxima Midnight.
Oh, she needs a man. Don't get out of here with that crap. Jeez.
She needs a man. She needs.
Miss
Corvus
Maria
Glaive.
says Steel and Iron Man have the same basic plot point. Is he talking about the movies?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't remember Steel movie.
The
The Shaq
Steel
movie has the same plot.
It's not entirely different.
No, it isn't that
Repressed
different.
memories.
It's really not that different than Iron Man.
I just
1.
remember hating it.
Oh yeah, it was terrible because it was poorly
That
acted.
and he made a genie movie called Shazam. That was awful.
Kazam.
Shazam.
Was it Kazam?
Yeah, it
Shazam.
was
Shazam was the Sinbad movie that apparently doesn't exist.
Yes.
Yeah. Now the Shaq Fu video game that was pretty good from Shaq.
Blue Chips was fine. It looked like he could act.
Blue Chips was really good. Actually.
But
It's where he
kinda
met
played
Penny.
himself.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The Shaq Fu album was okay.
Yeah.
Remember Shaq Diesel?
With Wu Tang.
The
Come
Shaq
on now.
Diesel.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember the Shaq protein bar from back in the day?
I do not remember that one.
We were now Shaq aficionados.
Josh is
The
old. bro. I
doctor
don't remember
says
that one.
dot face reveal equals like the smash button. Definitely like it if you enjoyed it. Was that the equivalent of side boob on that beard,
Yeah.
Josh? Did we get side beard on that?
I think it was more so just you got like eyeball. Like, his beard was kind of hiding.
I'm telling
But-
you, you got some side beard, like side boob. All
I'll
that.
ne-
You can see the fullness of it.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Doc, and I was so excited to see Doc because he revealed he was going to turn his camera on, and this was behind the scenes. And then he did, and I got so caught up with trying to look at everything behind him that I didn't pay much attention to Doc. I'm like,
Forgot what he
holy
looked
shit,
like.
what is all back there? Like,
I know I was kind of like, man.
he's got some good stuff, y'all. Y'all just have no idea.
Doc has a man cave worth admiring.
Why do you think I try to seduce him every Saturday? Tell him how pretty he is. Talk about that luscious beard, that sexy voice.
Bitch, you don't have to do that. You could just come over.
You know he like bathes that thing in like camel milk, right? To make sure that it's more like full and everything, and just
Hilarious.
velvety smooth. My goodness. Comics Exposed says nobody is asking for a Supergirl movie. No one.
Tom King.
Except for Tom King, yeah. It's such a dumb. It's like if they started out the MCU with Miss Marvel. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? Although, Supergirl does have more of a history of better stories of this Marvel, but she's just as insignificant to the DC universe. So, there you go. Kyle Lyle says, Proxima Midnight all the way. Let her and her husband destroy current Themyscira. Like I said, she needs a man. She does not have the power.
Hey, if we get Marvel versus DC in film, maybe we'll see that. Instead of them breaking into Wakanda, they're breaking into Themyscira.
There you go.
Nobody cares, but
amazing.
all right,
Yeah, I know.
sure. There's nothing there that anybody gives a shit about.
Odin 87 says, Gunn's 10-year plan starts with Damian. Aren't we jumping ahead a lot? Snyder also made the mistake of skipping through stories to play catch up to Marvel. Will we ever see live action Batman, the animated series Batman?
No.
No, I think we'll just see him in animation, I guess.
Yeah.
But it does definitely feel like they're skipping some things, and it definitely feels like James Gunn was a fan of the New 52. That's like, not only did he love Vertigo, he liked the New 52 and Tom King.
The one thing that's really going to be the crux here is Damian doesn't work without a proper understanding of all the Robins before him.
Yes,
'cause
that's why
even-
he's interesting, is
Yeah.
because the first two Robins are basically the same. They had a very similar incident to Bruce Wayne, so they could relate to him. Tim Drake is the first Robin that decided to be a Robin.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler, obviously became a Robin afterwards, but she was killed off soon. And then you get Damian Wayne, and he's like the interesting one because he comes in completely damaged, and Bruce has to fix him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a good story. It's just you're missing a lot before that.
Needs some setup.
Maybe the brave and bold part of this whole Batman thing will be kind of just touching on the previous Robins. I don't know.
It's gonna be touching.
He's
I
got
don't
he's
want
got
to
an
see that
uphill
on
battle.
film.
Of Robin
Batman's doing
montage.
it with Robin. Is he touching them?
I'm pretty
Seduction
sure
Get
of
your
the
hands
innocent.
away.
Seduction of the innocent.
that sounds like
So
it's
you think
illegal
they're
in
using
most
Brave the Bold
countries?
because of the cartoon, not the comic books, right?
I'm just wondering if he's going to try to tie that into the importance of Robin and the braveness and boldness of being a youth fighting crime. We'll see. It was a weird choice because when I hear Brave and the Bold, I think of a team up.
Right.
And I don't think of Batman and Robin is a team up, but I don't think of that. Like they go together. Brave and the Bold should be people you shouldn't expect teaming up with Bruce.
When I think the Brave and the Bold, I think of a soap opera.
Yes.
Isn't that the
Bold and the Beautiful.
yes? I used to
Yes.
watch that when I was in
The
England.
young and the restless.
Same thing.
Yeah, the rest was good. You guys are crazy. Frank Zanka says, "Happy Saturday, everyone. The head scratcher for me is Paradise Lost, Game of Thrones with lesbians and a power-hungry Hippolyta." So what do you think about this, Sil? They've got the lady that plays Amanda Waller. What if she goes back and plays the Nana King or whatever she was, and she takes over Themyscira in Paradise Lost? She can be the Meemaw Queen or
I'm
whatever
like,
it is.
somehow that sounds better than the slate that came out, right? But this Paradise Lost, yeah, it's gonna be TVMA, lesbian, Game of Thrones. That's what it's gonna be.
Scissor sister. Can we also point out that on HBO you're gonna have House of the Dragon, which is a Game of Thrones spinoff. You've got the Dune spinoff with the women, and then you're gonna have this. You're gonna have 3 shows that are all thematically very similar. Why?
Yeah, but this one could have the Scissor Sisters or something like
Yeah,
that,
no.
like something really exciting, you know?
Gotta go for those ratings, Yeah.
Lesbian
Shock
incest.
No.
Jeez, Doc.
value. We went there.
He went there. Sorry,
He says
Frank.
Scissor
Doc just-
Sisters.
Did.
Well, it's like a never mind.
I towed the line, Doc, and you hopped over it, I feels like.
Yes, I do.
That's a line.
What he's here for.
Doc is the habitual line stepper. Let's talk about something else that's come out that I don't think puts James Gunn's plan in a very nice light. Apparently, you can only be a voice actor in the animated project if you can eventually play the live action version of the character. So we would never get somebody like a Kevin Conroy playing Batman because he would never, he physically doesn't like he can play Batman. I think this is a bad choice, and it's definitely giving them some negative feedback, Sil. Did you just jump off on me?
Sorry about that.
You were going to a bathroom
I hit the
break.
wrong button. I was like, no comment. No, but the James Gunn's weasel way out of this is that it's only his DCU animation that basically if they can do the voice and they can act in the role, then yes, he will cast them for animation. But there will be other DC animation that it'd be the traditional route. Now, do we Do we think James Gunn's kind of BSing a little bit? I think so. He already has Creature Commandos in production right now. Anyone he cast in there, he got his brother cast, Sean Gunn, of course, in there. Viola Davis is Amanda Waller, so she's going to voice something in there. And then Rick Flag Sr., which is a whole nother story about Rick Flag and James Gunn. But all these people are going to show up in live action eventually. So it does, shrink the pot for those who just do voice acting. Do they have a long game of planning this? No, they don't. They're literally making this up as they go. And I'm sure James Gunn or his think tank didn't even think of the implications that it would have for, actual voice acting people. So,
well, I 2 comments here. One, Marvel did the exact same thing, just reversed, of saying our live action actors are going to be the cast in these animated films, and no one batted an eye. But I will also say we have one animated series announced, and every single character except for Rick Flag Sr. is going to have to be CGI in live action. So maybe this is a doorway for some of these voice actors who don't get paid much to come in and actually get a big time salary. If you're going to be in a motion capture suit, who cares what you look like? If you can deliver and you're a character actor, here's a chance for you to make a good paycheck. So I think people look, it's the internet. They're going to bitch about whatever they can bitch about. Like, Sills wearing a red shirt. Oh, like, fuck that guy, like
someone actually said that before. Yeah.
I think it could work out well. Yes, I'm sure some people might feel shafted, but it could open some doors for people. It just kind of depends. Who knows? I think you're going to find that a lot of mainstream actors aren't going to want to have to do the commitments of doing this voiceover work, even though it's quick, easy paychecks. I just think some of them are like, oh, I'm only going to get paid that much for that. No, I'll pass.
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, and it'd be other DC animations. So it's like I get both sides of it where it's not just, shrinking, you know what I'm saying? It's not shutting out any voice acting with DC like ever, unless you're a live action actor. But, these are going to be, higher profile things. This Creature Commandos is going to be, you're going to get a lot of exposure there, but you got to be able to do live action to even attempt, to voice anything in there. So, that is what it is.
Maybe we already have what's his name? Vin Diesel. Maybe he's Frankenstein. Who knows? Maybe Zoe Saldana's Bride of Frankenstein. Like, what?
It's some potential there, though. I mean, like I said, that was a weird way to open up talking about the slate. James Gunn was like, my first project, Creature Commandos, and I was just like, this is like we're waiting 3 months for this, bro. But it looks good. I think the animation's gonna look good. So
Question: do we think they're gonna age up Joel Kinnaman to play Rick Flag Sr.?
I can see that happening for sure. Yeah,
that would be another step in the wrong direction for Gunn. I love Joel Kinnaman. I think he's great, but sheesh.
Well, I mean, Gunn took care of him, right? So I mean, it is kind of a weird thing where you have Rick Flag Sr. In Gunn's world, we know he's keeping his Peacemaker world, right? So he killed off Rick Flag, Jr. or whatever. So it's like, what's really the play here? And like you said, could it be Kinnaman coming back in a sense? So I don't know. James Gunn for you.
Yeah. What would you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doc.
I was going to say, where'd West go?
I don't know.
He failed.
I was gonna say, what would you guys like to see done as like an animated show? If you could choose like a DC property to be like an animated HBO show, what would you guys choose?
I would have done The Authority. I always thought that The Authority done in the style of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children was perfect, especially that last final fight scene. It would have been perfect for an Authority movie. I said it when I saw that fucking movie when it came out.
Yeah. I'd like to see Animal Man as an a animated series. I think that would work pretty well.
I like Plastic Man in the chat. That's a good idea. Yeah.
No.
So you guys aren't all that upset about the animated stuff? I thought you guys were all DC animated fans.
I mean, he says it's going to continue, so
yeah.
We'll see what happens. We've got Cal Weil says voice actors are better at playing superheroes, in my opinion, because I'm a huge fan of them. Phil Lamar will always be Jon Stewart. And Nathan Fillion should be Hal Jordan. Absolutely.
Live
Great. great casting out there along the way. So let's talk about this weird story. There's a this was actually pretty funny. The Newsarama co-founder ended up leaving comic books, and apparently there is no money in the comic books media anymore, Doc. And Chris Arant, who used to work for Newsarama, is now championing crowd-funded comic journalism. Is Doc God? Doc is God, isn't he? What do you think about this, Dylan? Crowd-funded comics journalism.
Who's going to pay for that? No one cares. Like, no one cares.
YouTube is
about
providing
that.
it for free.
Yeah, exactly. No one wants to go like to an article and then you have 17 pop-ups and you can't even read the article and it's just some clickbait thing anyways. No one cares about comic book news journalism.
Well, these guys are cheap and all the stuff that destroyed the industry anyway, Jim. Except for you guys.
Thank you, and go to our Patreon. The idea of all that is,
Awesome.
really the whole deal with comics journalism. You have to put it in air quotes now. Anyway, it's a joke. Nobody cares about it. When you go to these places, you end up where you have to take everything with a grain of salt. I mean, Wes, the only bad thing about it is without it, you would have less things to rail on because, I mean, there's so many funny things to laugh about when people come out with these articles. But it ends up being, look at me. We do reviews and things like that. I'm just some schmuck. And, at least I care about it. Some of these people, they just throw stuff up and it's really diluted it anyway. And who's going to pay? Like for an article, like Dylan said, you get annoyed if you even go to a site and 3 pop-up ads come up. You're like, screw this, I'm out. Because there's nothing really ever worthwhile reading in any of that anyway. So, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. But again, it shows where all these people crowing about how comics have never been great or, oh, my God, it's so strong. Well, then why are these things happening? Comic shops are closing. Sites are, people bailing. It's not good right now. I wish it was.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking about the pop-ups and people getting irritated with that, but how many times do we go read a review ourselves and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because it's so clear.
Yeah.
So clear they're being nice to be nice because they either want to write for the company or their company that they're writing for mandates that they can't.
Exactly.
Give a
Yeah,
negative
and
review.
I mean, Josh says that, and he knows for a fact that this happens because he's been told, I've been told, there are sites that end up with your reviewer. You have an average, and it has to maintain within a certain score. So if you go low, oh, God, I got to make up. It's like makeup calls in hockey. Oh, my God, I'll make up with that. Here we go. I'll give a 9 to get it's bullcrap. And even just regular people, they want to have review copies. But like Josh said, they want to get in and write comics somehow, and that doesn't work really that much, and they end up just ruining it for everyone. That's why people go to YouTube, because they, a little more independent and actually aren't shills. So, which sucks because, I like writing reviews on our site and doing our podcast, but it just, people just don't take it. People are sick of the whole shillness of all this.
Yeah, that's the problem, Jim. It's like you try to have your YouTube channel and try to be an impartial observer and kind of get my point of view out there. And these people are have ruined all of this because no one trusts what people have to say about comic books anymore because they were told, oh, Heroes in Crisis is just an amazing story. Then you go read it and you hate your life when you're done with it because none of these people wanted to be honest for years upon years. Now they're going out of business. Now they're begging for money. And they don't realize they're the root cause of this.
Yeah, they don't have any sort of basis for anybody to take them seriously. And it goes with all the flow of how everything is. We started our site in 2013 and our podcast in 2015, and we have gone through the ebbs and flows of us being too positive, us being too negative, but we are always the same. It's just how people go. But these sites react to the current feel. So, oh my God, everybody's more positive now. Let's get more positive. And people see that. They see through that eventually, and it just makes them not worth anything. And now they're there, they made their own bed here, and now they're crying about it and wondering what they can do. But a lot of these people, it's too late. They've already ruined it for a lot of us.
Yeah, they make it very, very difficult to help try to establish an audience or get people even interested in comic books. Because all these stupid things have changed along the way. And then another thing that you'll notice, I'm sure you've noticed this, Dylan, is they realized the only way they could make money was banner ads or whatever. So everything is clickbait.
Yes, so much clickbait, so much just nothing. Like you click on an article, it says one thing, and you go like literally nothing, no substance at all. It happens so much. I'm surprised that they keep doing. I guess it works because they keep doing it. It's insane.
It's like why Jamie Wayne is literally the greatest Robin ever. It's like, you don't believe that.
No.
Like, get out of here with that stuff.
Yeah,
And
it's weird
just
because
to get you mad.
nowadays,
and to click on the
people
article.
don't even understand what a headline is anymore. They pretty much put a whole article in a headline and then do another article that isn't related. It's so wacky. It's so just off. It really is.
What do you even think about this still? Are you surprised it's happening? Do you think this is going to fix the comic book medium as far as journalism? People are going to start being honest. I think people want to return to like Wizard Comics, where you could go in there and understand that you're reading real opinions, at least at the beginning.
Well, I mean, it creates a vacuum where, or a pocket where someone can step up and actually do that if it resonates with the people. Like you said, everyone's kind of disenfranchised, and how can you really trust? That's why we search out. As far as I'm talking about comic readers, we search out channels like like what Wes is doing here and what Jim is doing, because it's like, I just want an honest opinion. Now, it doesn't mean I agree with everything what Wes says about every comic. Me and him fight about Tom Taylor all the time, right? But it's just you giving your honest opinion, right? You know what I mean? And that comes across. And so, like with journalism, though, who everyone's shilling, and they're going to give every comic 5 stars. And I haven't read Heroes of Crisis actually, and not just because I feel like I shouldn't go against something, but I'm just not interested, right? And that's what it should just be about, and resonate with people who's just being honest out there. So
Josh knows too, being a reviewer, the idea where people will come in and say, "Well, why are you reviewing this? Oh, you hate this? Why?" Because we're reviewers. You can't just say, "Oh, I don't like something." And a lot of sites try to get this false positivity by ditching books they don't like to remain positive. You can't do that. And most of the comic review sites, they've just become fan sites. They are just fan sites, not review sites. And people now, even the audience, they're confused about what happens, because then they go to say, look at some things of yours, Wes, and then right away are like, oh man, why are you so negative? Well, I'm negative because this stuff sucks. And I want to tell you that it sucks.
Don't look at
I'm
my
not going to
coverage
avoid
of
it.
House of X Powers of 10. I couldn't have been more positive.
Yeah,
for
when
2 months
things are
straight.
good, they're good, right? That's the problem. Right now, you convinced me to do some review videos, Wes. Thank you. But I haven't really done one that I like so far. It's always, stuff, and I haven't loved a lot of comics recently, but that's just, again, the ebb and flow of it. But you have to have your own integrity and your own deal, and these sites don't. You can look at these people. If you give 10s about everything, it's, if everything's a 10, nothing's a 10. And please, you go and see a random issue of Harley being rated of what you would rate, say, the Saga of Swamp Thing. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And people just, here's another 10, and just
Well, I mean, it's one thing to say things suck, but like say why it sucks, right? And so constructive criticism, is a real thing that is, and if you can't just shield over stuff either. So it's a balance.
Yeah, when we first had the original review crew at Batman News, we had a couple of things that we were required to do. One, we were upfront that, if we were covering a book, we were going to continue covering that book because we wanted a consistent voice. So people, like, if they learned what I liked and didn't like, they would understand I didn't like this because, and they know that they have a differing opinion than I do. But we also had the rest of the reviewers come in and comment in the comment section about like, oh, I love this moment, or I actually thought this was whatever, just so we could help get a balance of opinions from the team on each book. But you mentioned like say why. We had to have minimum of 500 words for review. They typically wanted 1,000 words or more. We were putting more work into these reviews than half these comic creators were putting into the actual comic.
Yeah, usually my reviews are about 1,000 words, and I think Josh, that's a cool deal, because a site that has just one guy, you're reviewing, that doesn't mean everybody on the site hates it. So they can't say, oh, Batman News hates Tom King. Yeah, some people do, some people don't. But I think that Josh would agree, too, that if you don't like something, you do tend to try to explain it more, because you have to give reasons. And when you end up having people complain about that, but will go full out thumbs up to a review that just says, I loved it, The art and story are a perfect combination and a roller coaster ride of emotions. The end, nobody questions that because it's positive, and it drives me nuts.
You forgot to say that it resonates.
It resonates with me is what happens. But yeah, I mean, and being a reviewer is not fun sometimes.
With House of X and Powers of 10, there was insane stuff happening every single issue.
Yeah.
That was bringing out all these theories and stuff, and you could cover every single issue in a positive manner. I was trying to cover every issue of Daredevil when I thought Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil was the best comic book, like in the entire industry.
So did I.
After you've given the 1 or 2 reviews where you're pointing out the stuff that's done really, really well, like you're getting into where I have to spoil the entire story to end up doing a review just to point out new things about it. And I figured out, I was like, I can't continuously talk about the stuff that's really good, because the stuff that's really good continues to be good in it because it becomes repetitive. And I don't want to spoil the good stuff that I want you to go read. I want to spoil the bad stuff that I
want to
keep
point out why you want to
avoid it.
It's like a consumer's report deal. And I said to people when they end up, well, why do you review this? Well, if I was reviewing cars and there was a fatal flaw, that I would point this out and say, hey, there's problems. Or if I was a food reviewer and I ate at a shitty restaurant, I would want to tell people not to eat at that restaurant. It's the same with these comics. And like you said, though, Wes, the idea of, and Josh even, the idea of having that basis of, okay, Wes loves this Daredevil, or Wes hates this New Mutants. When you do end up going from there and actually like it at a point, that really has more weight to it than they're like, oh my God, they like this. Hey, I thought they didn't like it. And you do get that whole, thing going with people will get your sensibilities. They don't have to agree with you, like Sil said, but they'll at least know that you're honest and, try to understand that. And a lot of people will tend to, go to a reviewer that is more of their sensibilities. I used to read all of Josh's reviews, and I used to go and defend him in the comments because people would give him crap for no reason at all and would give him the, hey, you shouldn't review this. Well, if he's not going to tell you that it's not good, who is? Because everybody else wants to kiss ass, and you don't need that. Just that. There has to be, a little bit of a counter to that, and a lot of times there isn't anymore.
And
so Doc,
I was gonna say, to be fair, you definitely get fatigued, like what you're talking about, trying to say the same thing over and over and over again. It gets old. So trying to find a way to change it up. And if you hate something, Tom King's Batman, you get to a point where you're like, you are losing your mind writing 1,000+ words about this, and you're just like, what the. My only advice is, if you're reviewing comics, if there's a female writing the book, don't do a review discussing story structure and how to properly structure a story.
You're mansplaining.
Let's
talk about
you're
what it
gonna
was.
mansplain.
Yeah.
You're mansplaining on how to write.
Also, when you're writing a Nightwing review and it's long, you end up writing dick a lot, and it'll drive you nuts. Also, just a little hint, don't go and hashtag Doc Ock. It comes out really dirty down the line, so don't do that either. I ran into that problem a couple times with
Do cock.
Yeah.
So,
It's okay. I did dick
Doc,
butt once.
you have returned, sir.
Yes.
Are you ready for crowd-funded journalism?
Oh, I mean, look, all that is independent journalism.
Yes, give us up.
Yeah, I mean,
begging with your PayPal.
I'm fine with that. Like, Substack is already that.
Yeah.
You're gonna.
I just thought it was funny that Chris Arant was like calling in the integrity. Without us, who can you trust? It's like,
we can't
no one
trust
trusts
you.
you.
Bitch.
That's why no one goes to your site.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
why it
nobody
died.
trusts the actual, the comics journalist media. Nobody trusts you people. Nobody. That's the reason why you're all failing and why you're all collapsing. It was a patronage business for the longest time, and now the patronage ran out because guess what? The economy isn't booming anymore. There's not all kinds of money to waste on shill media anymore. Now you're going to actually have to create shit that sells. You can't just try to gaslight people into believing that it sells so that you can tell your board and your shareholders, hey, look, we have all this great press and our stuff's making money. You can't do that anymore. So, Chris Arant, look, you lost your journalistic integrity about 15 years ago. And so, goodbye.
Plus, he wears
Best
that
of
beanie,
luck.
Doc. I don't trust anyone who wears a beanie 24/7. You know what I mean?
I like Tim Pool. Hold on. I like Tim Pool. I generally trust him.
He's the Tim Pool of comics journalism, is what you're saying?
No. Tim Pool wears this beanie.
I know
all
it's
the
a
time.
beanie thing,
But,
Doc.
but yeah, so no. But look, I mean, best of luck in your whatever endeavors as a barista or something. Whatever you end up doing for the rest of your existence, I'm fine with.
Chris Arant, OnlyFans.
Yeah, like I'm not going to pay for it the same way I
Resonate.
wouldn't support.
He resonates with you.
It does not, but it might.
I
We'll
stopped
see.
support. I stopped going to Newsarama like 10 years ago when it sold the first time to a telescope company. So no, bye, go away, get out, and best of luck in whatever not comic related ventures you end up in. And I hope to say the same to Heidi McDonald and Rich Johnston and whoever the hell runs CBR and everyone else that's in the current comics journalist media over the next 2 or 3 years as all of the advertising money dries up and the companies stop paying you to shill their product. So goodbye.
This is what the people are saying. Kyle Miles says, hasn't James Gunn worked with VAs before? I know he's worked with Matthew Lillard and others. Josh, you're the Hollywood guy. Is that true?
I mean, he probably has. You've had a lot of people that have crossed over between voice actor and film, and Matthew's one of those people.
Yeah.
But you have people that have, for the most part, just strictly been voice actors, and I think those are the ones that are worried about getting kind of cut out. But yeah, I mean, no one started complaining this when Disney started getting big name voices to do their animated films. Like
Toy Story ruined it for everything.
I just, I mean, come on. Like like I said earlier, this is people complaining to complain. If the people have talent, they're gonna get work. And like I said earlier, most of these
What if
characters
they have an
at least
ugly face and they have a face for voice acting?
As I said earlier, Creature Commandos, every single character is a CGI character if it comes to live action, except for Rick Flag Sr. You can be ugly as fuck, and you can still get work if you do a good job.
Yes.
And they could be the character, Wes. They could just be an ugly character.
What if you're handicapped? You're in a wheelchair.
Well,
You have a great voice.
Hey, maybe you
Wait
got
for
wheelchair
Spider-Verse.
Frankenstein running around. Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait for Sun Spider, huh?
Yep, that's what you do.
I got
Wait it out.
cast as T. Franklin.
Dylan Lindsay says, do you think that Gunn stuff will cause them to stop making the WB animated movies? Those are the only good thing that have been consistently released for DC.
Are they, though? Are they?
No, they're not going to stop. No, they're not gonna stop.
They haven't been as
It's going to be
good
stuff
lately, but
separate from this gun stuff, yeah.
They used to be a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like they're going to continue them, right?
Yeah, he said on Twitter he confirmed they're going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Callum says, it's people with 2016 and Me Too syndrome writing this stuff and who ask for money to pay rent on a crowdfunding platform.
Or for a laptop.
Or laptop.
Or for a wig.
Jeez, Doc.
Who was that? Hold on. Who was that?
Mags.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It's cool. I know where you're going. Callum says, do any of these reviewers read or can they read? You come up with that question. Remember that time that they took your review, Jim, and they put their name on it?
Yep.
I think that guy works for you now, doesn't he?
That was the best. Just to point out,
hired him.
I actually got that guy to write some Marvel reviews for us. I don't mind if he wants to be me. He can do it. It's less work for me.
He's a
really.
terrible Avengers shill, though. He was called
Well,
his Avengers comics.
He does love the Avengers, but this has happened before. This has happened on many sites. Not to say that my reviews are the greatest. I think that it's just, man, this guy writes like some schmuck. I'll just grab this and nobody will know. But it's happened like 3 times.
Look at all the typos. They'll think I'm dumb.
Yeah, really. I mean, more it's like, well, look at these 80 references and curse words. This is crazy. But no, this happens a lot. And a lot of times you do read these reviews and you're like, did you read the comic in general? Like, did you read the same one or anything at all? Because they'll get into these modes where it does feel like a form. They just insert things. And I said, though,
Predator #1 review.
exactly. I mean, seriously, that shill. But this is my point before. If you end up being positive, you rarely get called out on things from, general readers. They'll be like, oh man, and their excuse then, if you say, did you read this? Like, this was the worst thing. Well, I liked it. That's their argument, where you can come in with, what about this, this, and this? And they're like, well, I liked it. It's subjective, and which is true, but I don't think a lot of the reviewers, they may read it, but they do too many reviews. They try to just pump them out. The reviews are about 300 words. They say nothing, and then they just slap a score at the end. That's all it is. And
Someone
usually,
says they haven't read the Batman 89 book. Do not. It's awful.
yeah, it's not great.
I'll save myself some time.
Common Sense says CBR made an article 10 signs the MCU is running out of steam. So there are sane thinkers in the amount of shills from CBR talks who positively really think. CBR is starting to have more articles that make sense. I think they might be watching my channel.
I feel
Doc
like
and I
they're
talk
just
about all of them.
yeah. I feel like they're just kind of copying you and I, Wes. They're just plagiarizing our content.
Yeah, cover all.
But without the
cover
witty
all
banner.
bases.
You know what I mean?
with none of the humor, because
None of the charm. That's what I call
yes, exactly.
Yes.
it. Cal
I mean,
says,
I need to read a CBR article where they yell at the other guy for going off on a tangent and just stop. That's what then they'll really be copying you guys. I'd love that. That would be the best.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
people got mad at me about that. It's like, listen, Doc will not stop.
You
unless
threw
I
me
stop
off.
him.
I'll tell you, it threw me off. I actually was feeling bad for Doc in that video.
No. I tell him after we're done. I'm like, no, do that.
Do that.
Because I don't shut the fuck
You
up.
need a
whenever
leash.
Yes,
He really does.
my leash.
Yes.
It
did make me laugh.
We record before the stream, so there are times it's crazy. It's like, wow, this is going to be a 50-minute video. Like, I can't do that. So I'm sorry, folks. Sometimes Doc has just got to put the fence up. Be like, we're starting over to the next topic.
Yes.
Galb says they gave Trial the Amazon a 10. It was infuriating, but what the Mary Sue does is worse. They need boyfriends desperately.
No lies detected.
They just need dick.
I've never read. I don't really see the Mary Sue. Is that as bad as the Beat?
It's actually worse.
Yeah.
So
That's
much
probably why I don't
worse.
use it.
Mary Sue's pretty bad.
Trail of the Amazons would be a pretty hot event, though.
Mm.
Callum might be onto something here.
It's the thing. I mean, all those things. If you go and take the book that you think sucks the most, go and look at the review scores. Anybody who gave it a 10, just avoid them from now on. I mean, it's ridiculous.
He also says they need tampons.
Don't we all?
Good follow-up, buddy.
Just need dick.
Saliaki Bay. I feel James Gunn flopped by not releasing a Nightwing movie, especially since DC Comics is making Nightwing their central figure right now. There might be a Titans movie in the future. Maybe they're teasing that with the Brave and the Bold.
That's one thing. Bat Family's going to set up all these spinoffs, and then he'll go to Bloodhaven, and who knows? We'll see.
They need to do Battle for the Cow when Batman dies. You know what I mean?
Oh, that would be dope. That's one of my favorite storylines right there. Yeah.
Pretty damn
Jason
good
Todd
art on
was
that one, too.
irritating in that one too. So.
He's a bastard. He should be a little bit irritating, but Nightwing needs to be a big deal. Like, that's one of the DC characters that could probably carry his own movie and become something as important as Batman, even though obviously he's related to him. But they're going Damian Wayne at least. But we should see him. Hopefully they do a good casting because Dick Grayson sucked in Titans. Goblin Sense, it's the reason why I go by this name. I want to be fair and rational on my criticism. People should not lie to themselves and say bad comics are good. Hey, do I need to change my name? I think Critical works, right?
Yeah.
That works. Doc, what's your new name?
Bob.
Bob?
That works.
Yes.
The drag queen?
Works.
Sure.
Bob the Drag Queen. There we go. Well, thank you, Common Sense, for having a little common sense. It's not all that common anymore, unfortunately. What else we got to talk about? Doc, do you want to talk about Dark Web now, or do you want to wait for tomorrow?
Let's wait for tomorrow.
All right, well, let's talk about DC Comics screwing over their event creators. It'll be mostly a DC show here today. Dylan, I don't know if you saw this. I sent you a link to it, but apparently, after the event is over, they're in some cases having the page rates for the writers of the book and then giving it to what they're calling the showrunner, the person that's actually spearheading the event. Not an editor anymore, but it's actually a writer like a Williamson or a Mark Waid. And this seemed pretty gross to me. What'd you think?
Yeah, I read the article. It seemed very dumb, like when they could just pay the showrunner more. But also, in the article they talked about how there are certain spinoffs where the showrunner doesn't touch it or look at it at all. It's just done
Makes
as
sense.
written, but they're getting paid for that. That doesn't make any sense. It's really weird. It seems really scummy. It just seems really bad. But then there are other times, because the article like goes through a lot of things, and one thing they're like, well, some of these creatives know like beforehand, and they're able to say if they want to do it or not. So then in that case, I guess you're agreeing to it. But then there's other times, I think they're part of the article where they're like, some of people don't know, and then they get screwed over afterwards. So it seems like a really weird situation.
Is this something you heard about behind the scenes, Jim? Because
Yeah,
I
a
don't
bit of it,
believe
yeah.
that Mark Waid talked to anyone that wrote Attack on Krypton.
Well, if he did, they didn't listen.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these anybody listened. But yeah, I've heard things like this before, and it sucks. And it really, the best term Dylan said, it's scummy. It really is, and it's doesn't give you any sort of idea that any of these tie-ins and events will be any good, because why would they be? Why would you even want to be involved? And to get screwed over after the fact, especially, just sucks. And this is, why a lot of people are leaving DC, and they, at a time where they need good writers, they're just setting themselves up to lose everybody. And that sucks, because they show that they are not good talent evaluators in getting some of these newer writers in. They just kind of
They
grab
got good
anybody.
artists, but they do not have good writers.
Yeah, the art's really good, but yeah, the writers, they just don't seem to be able to find a pool of who could do something good. They get lucky, Jeremy Adams, but for every Jeremy Adams, there's a Tim Sheridan, who they're friends, but maybe they shouldn't be. I don't know, but that whole deal. But if you end up and it gets out into the public, it just makes you look bad, and don't do that. It's just not a good situation.
I need to interject here and ask how their in-house legal
Yeah.
is sitting there thinking, hey, you know what? Let's just entirely violate this contract. Here are the terms. That I'm sitting. How have they not been sued?
Well,
That's what I'm coming to. question.
We've seen the type of people they hire, right? They're not the brightest bunch.
That's
and then I'm sure half of them are
Could be
going, I don't
desperate
have enough
for more
money
work.
to. I mean, it could be desperate for work. It could be they're too stupid to realize they have legal grounds to sue. And it could be that they feel like they don't have the money, which they could pull together and do a class action lawsuit. But yeah, you've got a contract that establishes a page rate for whatever project you're working on. So if DC comes back on that, you can sue their ass, and you should sue their ass because they're being fucking cheap.
And it's
Also,
it's small claim. It'd be small claims court. More than likely, it'd still be small claims court. So you wouldn't even need counsel.
yeah.
I guess that these writers, though, being new, they want to continue writing. They don't want to be blackballed. They don't want to be looking. But it's not. I mean,
They
the
probably
real
have to
problem
sue
is,
Warner Brothers.
yeah, and I think that maybe they're just like, well, if I just let this go, but it's bad. They shouldn't. But we're not in this situation, so I wonder how they feel.
If someone were to sue, if they were to pull together and do a class action lawsuit, it would never go to court. Warner Brothers would settle outside of court. They would get their money. And if at that point Warner Brothers was like, we're not hiring you anymore, it wouldn't be a good political scope. Like, they would still keep these people here and there. They may not give them the
big
scale
work.
of work, but at this point, do you want to work? Do you really want to work for a company that's going to like shit you out of your money? Especially when you have creators like Scott Snyder, because they mentioned Metal, like the dude's making good money outside of DC Comics. He's blatantly said time and time again, I make more money outside of DC than I do in DC, and I don't
And
really
look at
need this
Tynan.
paycheck. And then he
Tynan
pulls in the
left.
money.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I wish, and we're talking about the company, but at some point I think integrity has to fall on the creator themselves of saying, like, you know what, you should be paying me. We shouldn't be robbing from Peter to give to Paul. Like, this is wrong. These guys need this money. Like, if I were doing a crossover event and I found out I was going to be taking money from my peers, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, absolutely not. We are not doing this.
This feels like the stripper needing to tip out the bouncer at the end of the night, and the DJ, and the doorman, and everybody, and the cook, and the
I mean,
bartender.
depending on what that bouncer's done for me, I might tip him.
Yeah.
I know, but yeah, that's what it's starting to feel like.
The DJ, playing
Yep.
Kickstart My Heart all night. You
Uh-huh.
tip him. It's great. But then again, in that, if we want to go with that situation, what happens when the DJ finds out the bouncer got more money? And, it just causes infighting. It causes all these creators to be pissed off. And the cook shouldn't get anything. That food stinks at the strip club.
And
So
the
the
events
hell with
ends up
them.
being suck. They end up being shit, Jim.
Yeah.
They have been crap.
They
Dark
have.
Crisis
And
wasn't
so
good.
what are you going
Lazarus
to do
Pit opened
now?
out strong, and everything that's been tied
Terrible.
to it since has been
And we
terrible.
look, and it's funny because if you're paying attention to the creative teams on especially these anthologies, you end up, it's an event, and then you're like, who the hell is this? I mean, we read DC Comics every
Erica
week, and you're like,
Schultz, who the fuck is
who's
that?
this asshole? And then you read it, and like, really, you're like, who's this asshole? I don't get it. But you have these same people on, and they're always the new writers. You're not going to get a big writer who's going to go in this situation. And you're going to end up with shitty tie-ins, which is one of the biggest problems at DC right now, from Dark Crisis to this whole Lazarus Planet. Like you said, I don't think Mark Waid even knows half the names of the people on these books, let
the
alone
point.
talk to them, right? And they've been bad.
See, I don't blame Mark Waid. I mean, I understand the point Josh was making. Like, hey, if Wade's getting money, half of someone's, pay that's writing under that event, that's not Mark Waid's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally DC Comics' fault in that. But like I said, it's just shady all around right there.
Yeah. To clarify for the goddamn Batman's comments, I'm talking about Scott Snyder in the sense that he doesn't need this money, and if he let this happen, it just kind of further solidifies that he is a piece of shit. I have opinions on Snyder.
I am just
I'm a big fan of Scott
shocked.
Snyder.
Buddy, I could tell you stories behind the scenes.
I am just a little
We'll talk later.
surprised that if this has been going on for a while, why it hasn't caught the the thing is they don't even need to necessarily go to court for this. This is like NLRB stuff, like the National Labor Relations Board. From just like straight up,
they should hire you as an advisor.
It's not really that difficult. This is
Now, I wonder how their
depends on what they
contracts
signed,
are
though.
set up. I wonder how they set up
That's
this
what I'm saying.
freelancing type contracts. They must have some little small print or some
fine print.
craziness. Yeah, because
gotta
you
be
would think
something.
that it would, like Doc's saying. This
I hereby
seems-
agree to be screwed
Yeah.
over at any
Yeah.
time.
This
Yeah.
seems completely insane that this could happen, but yeah.
I mean,
So-
we're saying it's insane, but look at how many of these writers have written about finances or money and how money works in these books. They
they're
have no
completely
clue.
wrong.
They have no
yeah,
clue.
that is true.
These
Yeah.
people don't know. I'm telling you for a fact, these contracts, they are for page rates for certain books.
Yes, that's it.
So-
And there's not going to be like that fine print of yes, and we can fuck you and not pay you at any time.
No. It's when they
Because-
give you
because-
the lube while
It's
you're
in there
signing it
somewhere.
that you're like,
Because-
I get it.
You
Because
say they
they're-
give you the lube.
They give you the lube while
they
you're
bend you
signing,
over.
and you're like, okay.
I mean, I understand
need this
that like
later.
the legal department in a lot of these big corporations, they're going to write contracts that benefit the corporation.
Yeah.
But they know there are lines where even their in-house lawyers say we can't put that in there. Even if they're dumb enough to sign it, we literally cannot put that in there because otherwise we're taking advantage of retards. And they're not going to, they just can't do it. So that's one of those things that they just can't put it. So they're just straight up ignoring their own contract. And all it takes is one complaint to the NLRB to get this investigated. I mean, and it's no money out of your pocket.
Jim, you think that when they sign the contract, they get a free hat and then a
Yep.
little thing of KY?
A little
They
KY.
say you'll need that later.
And that's the thing. When you're signing it, they say,
Don't
like,
lose
why
it.
do I need the lube? They're like, just wait a little. You'll find out. They're like, all right,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
sign.
It's
Yeah.
necessary.
It really feels weird. It really feels like this is like, them setting up things in a way like Doug said, it's so illegal, but it just seems so, it's
It feels
scuzzy.
like some
It's-
comic books, though.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of promises and things. It's like in a marriage, empty promises. You're going to get screwed later, but you go with it, and you sign on the dotted line and just hope things work out for you by the end. And I think a lot of these people are desperate, seeing the money, at the end of the tunnel, seeing things like a Scott Snyder. And, oh, man, I could be the next Scott Snyder, but the only way I can do that is maybe getting on a Batman, maybe do this. So when you end up getting screwed, I'm sure don't worry now, we'll get you on the back end. And I mean the back end. That's why you need the lube. And then you end up where this never happens. You're waiting for this big deal. Yes. But I do think that it is scuzzy. It's scummy, and they shouldn't do it. And more people need to step up. But we saw this before, even with a Peter David, who you would hope would be able to pay his own medical bills, and he can't. People get upset, but then they kind of forget, and they let this just go on. And that's what I think that a lot of these companies just count on. There'll be this outrage at first, and then nobody will care. And there's more people who want to get in that position, so they'll just take advantage of them, right, in that position.
So let's hear what the people have to say. This is what Nicholas Russ said. Good morning, Wes, Josh, Jim, and the crew. I think the editors are pushing a lot of terrible stories. DC and Marvel need drastic editorial leadership changes. I agree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's got to be a top-down change now. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they can just cut out the middlemen and fix things anymore.
No, they're putting Band-Aids on things, and it's not working. Yeah.
Caleb says Jim Lee doesn't give a damn anymore, does he?
Hasn't for a long time.
Right.
I think he likes being on the red carpet and being associated with the stuff. I just don't think he likes. I don't know.
He still does dope
Anything
covers,
else?
Okay, can we also acknowledge that the editors should be doing this job of bridging these stories together and crossover events?
Supposedly the
also-
editors aren't doing it. It's the showrunners.
The editors aren't doing anything. That's the problem.
I don't think they have a lot of editors left.
No.
Caleb also says they have pronoun privileges. That's it.
Yeah, they just can't get paid.
Yeah, that's not getting
follow
ripped
the
off
code.
isn't really a privilege. I don't know. Daniel Beatty says, not only do they own the characters you create, they put them in a no Vaseline clause. Is that true, Doc?
I know what?
Vaseline clause.
I think that might be Vaseline.
It was a
Oh,
Vaseline.
no Vaseline.
The whole lube.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No lube, sir.
Yeah, that's why I was confused. Okay, no Vaseline. Yeah, that sounds about right. They're like, okay, you can suck it and spit on it first if you really want.
Perfect. Perfect. I want to say thank you very much to everybody. Let's talk about our comic book recommendations and slide away whatever the hell Doc was just doing. So, Dylan, you got any comic books to recommend this week?
I haven't read anything from this week, but for the past couple weeks, I'll say Junkyard Joe is really good. I'm really enjoying Junkyard Joe. I like the Power Rangers TMNT crossover that's going on right now. And
that Dan Mora art is beyond ridiculous.
So good. It's so good. And the Bone Orchard Mythos from Jeff Lemire and Andreas Ortino is really good if you're looking for a good horror comic. They've been doing a bunch of stuff there.
Anything going on in the channel that people need to know about? You got any live streams or anything?
Not live streams, but I just did a video recently on talking about comic book first appearances and who my favorite is, which, spoiler, was Jonah Hex. I love his first appearance. So good. So I did a video on that, and I also did a video talking about all the James Gunn stuff that we talked about today.
Did you talk about Jenny Hex?
God, I hate Jenny Hex. Why? I don't know why Bendis thought that was a good idea.
It's a girl version of Jonah Hex. That's why it's a good idea.
And then just throwing her into it makes no sense. Why? Why did anyone at DC let Bendis do that? And that sadly, she's appeared more recently than Jonah Hex has.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I saw Jonah Hex was in a Super Sons comic.
Yeah, he was like a robot. And then
yes,
before that he was
really him.
Yeah, before that he was in a Looney Tunes comic and the Looney Tunes crossover, and that's like all we've gotten since All-Star Western got canceled in New 52, which was so good, by the way. Read All-Star Western.
Bastards. HH and the fellas at Sigma Comics. Shout out to Wes and the top comic book experts from Anime Milwaukee. This channel is one of the handful where you can get an accurate gauge on what's truly happening in comics. We'll always support it, and I ask you to do the same. Well, thanks to HH German and all the guys at Sigma Comics. And if you're in the greater Milwaukee area, definitely go to Anime Milwaukee. check out the booth and you'll likely get yourself a copy of Here Comes Calico. But if you're not in the area, it will be distributed nationwide via Diamond in the not too distant future. I don't think it's quite out yet. And I think we're going to be talking next week about some stuff that he heard on the road. Should be a good conversation. Thank you very much to HH and the guys who supported the channel. And congratulations on all the success, sir. Really appreciate that. Sil, are you still reading comic books or did you give up?
No, I didn't give up. No, despite Doc telling me to give up, I did not give up yet. But I am going to catch up with the Lazarus Planet, definitely. And I'm
don't do that.
Forward.
Read the first one and then forget it ever happened.
Just forget it because I am.
Do not read Attack on
to...
Krypton.
Oh yeah, I heard that wasn't. Yeah. But the Joshua Williamson Superman that's coming up, I want to check that out. And see what happens. That Minute War for Flash, I definitely want to pick that up too. So good stuff there. But I do want to plug one comic here. This is really a special comic. My friend and colleague Mikey Sutton came out with Dreamwalker. This is issue 2 of it. It was just announced this week that basically it's been picked up for a live action adaptation. This is an independent comic book. He's a Filipino descent, but it's a Filipino-American fantasy universe, and it's been picked up to a streamer to be named. It's going to have multiple seasons.
Are there
it's really
Oswald in
unheard
there?
of. Who's that?
Are there Oswong in there?
I believe so. He talks about. I probably don't catch up on all that, but
that's the big Filipino monster.
Yeah.
Like
so
Chupacabra or something.
He puts a lot of his background into it, and so they're going to start shooting in the Philippines. This summer. Now, what's cool about it is that he said like it looks like it's woke just by accident because it's a female lead. Obviously, she's the Filipino. It's Kate Valdez. She's like a superstar in the Philippines. You may have heard of her, Wes. Kate Valdez. She's do soap operas and shit, but she's going to be an action star in that. He has a black guy modeled after me, so I'm gonna be on set in the Philippines just checking out who they cast as me. And
well, you should swing by and I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be in the Philippines this summer, and they're gonna shoot in LA sometime later this year. It's huge, insane, independent, person to get something picked up like this, and it's gonna be on a major streamer too, and it'll be announced soon. But he's very excited about that, and I'm excited for him. So, Dreamwalker,
people should go pick up their copies now because this thing's gonna be worth some money.
Issue 1 was sold out like crazy. He had a variant copy with Natalie Sanders did a variant cover, a homage to Swamp Thing. Really cool stuff. It's on secondskincomics.com. You can see everything that's on there, but it's selling out like crazy. Issue 2 is doing tremendous. He has a Filipino variant cover for both issues 2, I believe, too. Issue 3, he basically has to come out like every 3 or 4 months because now he's writing. He's a story consultant and executive producer for the live action show now. So he has to space his comics out going forward. So exciting stuff. Dreamwalker. If you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to hear about it because it's big stuff. Big stuff, man.
Very
You're going to the Philippines.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, definitely talk to me before you get here. I got some tips for you.
Awesome.
Who else we got? Jim, are you recommending any DC comics this week? It's got to be a no. There's nothing they released.
No, the 1 Minute War special is it's okay, and it does flesh out the villains. So if you want to know more of that, but it's not the best that Jeremy Adams has done. So DC, nothing really, and Marvel. It's kind of crappy as well. I was just, as we were going through this, I was looking. There is a perfect score, though, for the Dark Web finale on the comic book roundup, which, yeah, exactly. So I did get a chuckle. So I'm going to go 2 things. I'm going to go manga. I go to the Manga Plus site. It's just mangaplus.com. It's a totally free and legal site, and there's a lot of really good Jump Plus stuff on that you can read, full series and things, and there's a bunch of new things there. But also, shout out, I'll say go and read the Saga of Swamp Thing. Everybody seems to be grabbing onto that Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and it's selling out. Buy a good book and go read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, which is excellent. It's great. And even you talking about it, Wes, in your video made me excited to go read it myself again. So,
So
there you
good.
go. Yeah, it is. It's so good. And it's one of those things where you know something's good where you do end up going back to it every couple of years. Like, oh my God, I got to reread that. I don't see that with a lot of things nowadays. So go and do that. Read some manga. And we'll get back to regular stuff. It's the annuals week at DC. So there's never really a ton of stuff.
Frank Zanka says, public service, Star Wars Son of Staros is woke garbage.
Yeah, that's
Love the
bad.
character until now. Don't bother with it. Self-insert characters. What the fuck?
Throw in that with Dr. Aphra, too. I mean, that book was good for a little bit, but Alyssa Wong on Dr. Aphra is just pure garbage now. So, just
couple
my
years.
little 2 cents. Yeah, it's not good. So.
Dylan, do you like Son of Staros?
No, that was, Han Solo's wife. That was the
Yep.
whole controversy when she came in. She was just a nothing character. No one ever cared about her. At least Dr. Aphra was interesting at first.
Yeah,
She
I
should've-
liked that first. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good, but they've done nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, she should have. Vader should have killed her. She should have died. The whole
Yep.
fake out thing was stupid. Like, she served her purpose, and then she's gone.
She had good droids, though.
The droids are back in the series now, but Alyssa Wong does not know what to do with them. Doesn't know what to do with the characters.
Like a homicidal version of R2-D2 and 3PO.
Yep. Yeah, they're great, but
Yeah.
nonsense.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but Disney's been ruining Star Wars for a decade now. Kind of used to it.
Yeah.
You got a rant in, you Dylan?
I could go on for a while about Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for the heads up, Frank. And I'm sorry that disappointed you, but I'm not surprised. Who else we got? Josh, you recommend anything this week?
Well, first of all, I just want to say if Sill's gonna fly to the Philippines and get dinner on Wes, I wanna fly to the Philippines and get dinner on Wes. I'll take some lumpia. I'll take some hala.
It's hollow,
Yeah.
hollow, but holla holla.
Whatever. I'm from Texas. We say shit wrong all the time. So,
So if
I'll
you guys
pass-
end up here, I will definitely treat you to dinner.
I will pass on the balut. So you can keep that.
My wife ate that the other day. I was
Ooh.
like, what is wrong with
Yeah,
you?
I can't. I will tell you, don't read Scarlet Witch. Don't bother with Dark Web.
Scarlet
Don't-
Witch got like a 10 out of 10 by
Scarlet
all
Witch
the
is getting
reviewers.
so many good reviews.
Oh
Oh,
my
my
God.
God. It is. It's so many
The worst
10s.
review.
It's a Steve
on
Orlando
Comics-
book.
Yeah, this worst review on Comic Book Roundup says something like, if the worst thing I can say about this book was that the first book was excellent and this one's very good, then so be it. And I'm like, fuck off. I read the Bloodline book, not because I wanted to, because I was potentially going to be on a stream yesterday and I ended up not being on. Don't read it. And the Silver Surfer book was, it's like 30 something pages. You get Silver Surfer, I think, for like 4 panels.
The
Don't
thing about
read it.
Bloodline, though, is you get your money's worth because it'll take you at least an hour and 15 minutes to get through the dialogue.
Oh my God. It's so much writing.
It took me so long to get through that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
I was going to make
yeah.
Doc read it, and I was
Oh
like,
my
I can't do this to him.
You'd have to do it
I'm
like
a
6
bastard,
months
but I'm
from
not
now.
a son of a bitch. I can't do that to him.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. One Minute War was okay. I'm gonna go Jim's route too. If you want to read some books, the stuff that James Gunn recommended are worthy books, minus Supergirl.
Man.
Oh, yeah. Get that
Swamp
Batman
Thing,
and Robin.
And
from,
if anyone's gonna be like,
Grant
it's
Morrison.
sold out, go look at your freaking local comic shop. They probably have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damian Wayne with Dick Grayson, Batman and Robin is probably the best superhero stuff I think that Grant
was
Morrison ever
dope.
did.
Absolutely,
was,
that whole era
absolutely
was
fantastic.
great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, Doc. Last week you actually recommended a new comic book. Are we going to make it 2 weeks in a row?
No, we are not. We are not going to recommend any new comics.
No Dark
but-
Web?
Nope. But I am going to recommend some old comics. ASM 298. I just picked this copy up. Then let's see. 299.
That's
Right.
great.
300. If you can find one.
Oh,
Yeah.
McFarlane.
For a reasonable price,
I ain't gonna touch
Alright.
it with the price it's gonna be at.
Then Stormwatch 37, first Jack Hawksmoor, first Jenny Sparks. Especially if the Authority ends up going with this version, then yes.
You
And
pulling for the Authority.
Stormwatch Volume 2, number 4, first Apollo and Midnighter. I think I showed this one earlier.
Where are
And then
you selling
finally-
these on eBay? What's your handle? so people can buy 'em?
I'm not selling these. These are
Oh.
from my personal collection.
You're not trying
And
to cash
then-
in?
Nope. I don't cash in. Well, sometimes I do. And then just Uncanny X-Men 101, First Phoenix. If you can.
Ridiculous.
Doc, are you going to give us some more side beard? You know what I mean? It was very titillating the first time.
No.
Titillating.
All right.
Yule recommended Blood Tree. I think it's Blood Tree by Tomasi. That's something I wanted to read, but they didn't have it at my LCS, so I need to get the digital version.
Man, that Amazing Spider-Man 300. I'm jealous.
Collector's Den is making fun of it. He says you're trying to show off ASM 300, and he gave you a laughing emoji.
So jealous.
There's like a billion of them out
Yes, it's not exactly rare. They act like it's rare. They price it like it's hard to find.
there. It is. There's
Probably, I look around a little bit.
Yule
There-
says important buy Stormwatch versus Alien.
no, it's Wildcats Aliens #1. It's a one shot in which they kill almost all of Stormwatch. So Stormwatch
Jesus, spoilers,
dies.
man. He just said to buy it. He didn't say to spoil it. Oh my goodness.
So the Stormwatch evolution into the Authority occurs because of a Wildcats aliens, as in like xenomorphs,
Mhm.
one shot crossover. So unlike most of those like inner property crossovers, you know, like Superman, Aliens, Batman, Predator, this one actually fucking matters.
Very nice, Doc. Yellow Flash wants to know, do you want to shift through his Silver Age ASM? He's only missing 6 books.
Oh, dude, yes, I do. Do you want to shift through my Silver Age Uncanny? I'm only missing
Are these guys flirting?
3.
I know. I was like, I want someone to shift through my back
all
issue.
this
Yeah,
shifting,
which means you're going to shift through my stuff.
It's shifting.
Yeah, you guys. Hey, if you're ever in Pittsburgh, hit me up. You can come over and I don't know. Just
See
look
his
around.
man cave. You know what I'm saying?
Shift.
Wink.
Yep, it's a gaping man cave.
All right, well, let's head out of here. We had a big week. I've got a couple of other videos I need to record today, but next week is the Super Bowl, so we'll see what happens then. Thank you very much to everybody for joining us. Definitely check out their YouTube channels. There are links in the video description if you can't find them. Josh does not have a channel, and neither does Doc, so if that disappoints you, talk to them, not me. It's not my